Chapter 1171. Buzz, the Taoist prose of destiny, once again appeared in Su Feng's Sea of Mana. He released the power of the great completion. Immediately, a figure passed through the star fog and approached him. It's the one with the Huiyin Shinrikyo's aura. Why is he so familiar with this person? Who is he? Su Feng was alarmed. Just as he was about to warn Lien Changxian, the power of the great completion sensed the cold, murderous intent from Lien Changxian. Then, he connected it to Lien Changxian's abnormal behavior. Su Feng understood at once. The traitor is Lien Changxian. Lien Changxian was the most talented among the new special disciples of the Star Palace. Why would he collude with outsiders? Su Feng was confused at first, but he soon understood after giving it some thought. Previously, when Goddess Xuanqin went to the constellation of 9 heavens, Lien Changxian confessed his love for her. However, Xuanqin politely rejected him. Lien Changxian was still infatuated with her. Because of this, he almost fell out with the disciples of the Star Palace who mocked and humiliated Goddess Xuanqin. In his mind, Goddess Xuanqin was no different from a goddess. Now that Su Feng and Goddess Xuanqin were going to be married, Lien Changxian lost all hope. His love turned into hatred. It was reasonable that he would betray his school and kill Su Feng. You are infatuated with Goddess Xuanqin, but you were rejected. It is regrettable. However, you betrayed your school because of this and vented your hatred on me. You are seeking your own death. I am no longer the person you used to be. Su Feng sneered in his mind. Dozens of poison talismans appeared in his palm. Just then, a man in black stepped out of the star fog. This man was dressed exactly the same as the men in black who had intercepted and killed Star Palace. He did not look imposing at all. However, he stood in the air and looked down at Su Feng. It was as though he was a god looking down at an ant from the sky. Everything was under his control. He was high above and extremely domineering. This man is so fast. His aura is so terrifying. Su Feng felt a chill in his heart. This man is quite powerful. He is not much weaker than Aoyin Chang'an. Kid, you have to be careful. Suddenly, the voice of Luo came from within Su Feng's body. He was shocked. He quickly thought of a countermeasure. Huangfu Shaoying, an ant like you is not worthy of ethereal enlightenment. Hand it over. I will spare your life. Yin Sun Shin, who was disguised in black clothes, disguise. Even his voice became hoarse. Sword essence of sword. Will sword? If you want the ethereal true solution, you'll have to see if the Star Palace agrees to it. A cold and sonorous voice suddenly sounded. After that, a man in a star robe tore through the star fog and appeared in front of Su Feng. The man in the star robe had a cold expression. His entire body exuded a vast aura of desolation. His body was straight as a pencil, as if he could hold up the heaven and earth. He shattered the shackles of the divine power released by the flame immortal's heart. Lien Changxian's face changed, and he cried out in surprise. The number 1 disciple of the constellation of 9 heavens, and Tian Du, Chou Yun, and Li Tianqi were the most outstanding disciples among the special disciples of the constellation of 9 heavens. However, compared to Tian Du, they were overshadowed, and Tian Du was unfathomable. It was rumored that his power surpassed that of a normal elder 200,000 years ago. Then, he was recognized as the number 1 disciple of the Star Palace. Even Chou Yun and Li Tianqi, who were arrogant, were convinced by him. However, Tian Du focused on cultivation and never fought for power. He was usually elusive. Besides the special disciples, the normal disciples did not know that there was such a person in the Star Palace. His reputation was not as famous as the number 1 disciple of the Huiyin Shinrikyo, Yin Sun Shin. Su Feng heard about Tian Du by chance a few days ago. He was surprised by Tian Du's appearance. Then, Su Feng heaved a sigh of relief. It turned out that the Star Palace still had such a hidden card, and Tian Du had a big spear in his hand. It was black, heavy, simple, and unadorned. It was obviously an upper-grade Dao weapon. Coward, do you dare to fight with me? And Tian Du pointed his big spear at Yin Sun Shin and shouted. The tip of the spear emitted a sharp xianguang that seemed to be able to pierce the sky and tear the earth apart. Coward, I have long heard of the name of the number one disciple of the constellation of nine heavens. And Tian-du, unfortunately, I have not had the chance to meet you. Since you want to fight, I will accompany you to the end. Yin Sunxin said with a hoarse voice and laughed wildly. In his eyes, two streaks of sword essence that were like two coiled snakes flashed and disappeared. Then, Yin Sunxin retreated into the star fog behind him. At the same time, he sent a message to Lin Changxian with his primordial spirit. Brother Changxian, I will lure and Tian-du away. I will leave Huangfu Shaoying to you. Remember to leave him alive. This person dares to covet Xuanxin's beauty and tries to defile Xuanxin. I will end his life with my own hands. Lin Changxian replied with his primordial spirit. Brother Yin, don't worry. He is merely a Xian immortal with 3 Daos. He is like an ant. It will be easy to capture him. Lin Changxian, protect Huangfu Shaoying. And Tian-du ordered Lin Changxian and chased after Yin Sunxin. Lin Changxian approached Su Fong. Huangfu Shaoying, it is dangerous here. Follow me. Senior Changxian, is it worth it to risk your life for Yin Sunxin and betray your own sect? Su Fong suddenly laughed. His voice was like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded in Lin Changxian's heart. The two of them were so close to each other. With Su Fong's great perfection ability, how could he not hear the primordial spirit communication between Lin Changxian and Yin Sunxin? Taking advantage of the moment when Lin Changxian was distracted, Su Fong threw the poisonous rune that he had prepared in his palm towards Lin Changxian's face. With a loud bang, the poisonous rune exploded. The poisonous gas rolled and enveloped Lin Changxian. Courageous, ruthless, unhesitant, and quick-witted. This is what a strong person should do. Luo praised from within his body. Lin Changxian is the most outstanding one among the new special disciples. He is strong and is not weaker than an ordinary elder like Changgu Immortal. Apart from the Star Palace, I cannot use any other techniques. Otherwise, if my identity as Ghostface Rakshasa is exposed, the consequences will be unimaginable. How can I not use some techniques? Su Fong replied to Luo in his heart. He did not slow down at all. With a punch, his attack turned into a ray of starlight light that shot towards Lin Changxian. Star Origin Hollow, Fist Lin Changxian's aura suddenly exploded and shook off the poisonous gas. However, several parts of his body were still corroded. At this moment, the starlight celestial power on Su Fong's fist suddenly exploded. A ray of starlight shot through the sky like a meteor and hit Lin Changxian's body. Boom! The starlight current caused the starlight fog within 100 meters to roll like waves. Lin Changxian was forced back a dozen steps before he could stabilize himself. He spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that he was badly injured. A mere third Dao realm, heavenly immortal, can hurt me. You sneak attacked your fellow sect member. Your methods are even more despicable. Lin Changxian was shocked and angry. He could not believe it. Despicable. You colluded with the Yin Sunxin to destroy the sect's plan and try to kill me. How dare a disloyal person like you call me despicable? Su Fong retorted aggressively. Xuanxin is as sacred as a goddess in my heart. Who do you think you are? You're just a lowly heavenly immortal. What right do you have to marry Xuanxin and sully Xuanxin? That's why I want to kill you. It has nothing to do with betraying the sect. Lin Changxian clenched his teeth, and his face became hideous. You're being used, but you're still talking back. How pitiful. Su Fong shook his head and sighed. How dare you mock me? Don't think that you can defeat me just because you used a despicable method to hurt me. Today, I'll show you what it means to be a feather immortal and what it means to be unsurpassable. Lin Changxian roared furiously. Starlight, true chi surged from his body and a shocking aura burst out. The profound immortal realm was extremely mysterious. When one cultivated the essence of heaven and earth and borrowed energy from the stars, their heavenly caves and golden cores would undergo many changes. So would their divine apertures. Their dharma power would also be as vast as the ocean. The surpassing profound immortal realm was the feather immortal realm. At the feather immortal realm, one could reach a new level of fusion with the galaxy. They could directly peel off the fragments of the galaxy and fuse them with a golden core to cultivate a real world. The Shin immortal realm was 10 times harder to cultivate than the heavenly immortal realm and the cave immortal realm. Once one reached the Shin immortal realm, one could truly experience the eternity of cultivation. Once one reached the feather immortal realm, one could experience the dangers of cultivation. If one couldn't fuse with the world, one's divine soul will be destroyed by the power of the world. Therefore, cultivation in this realm was always accompanied by death. Their existence was like a feather that could disappear from the world at any time. This was how the feather immortal realm got its name. In the big world, feather immortals were second only to the elders of the Star Palace. Lien Changxian's cultivation was even more shocking. He had reached the 9th level of feather immortal realm. I didn't want to kill you, but for Xuanxin, I have to. Chain of 7 stars. Lien Changxian roared and threw out an upper-grade doctrine artifact. This Dao artifact was formed by a string of 7 star-like round beads. It emitted brilliant starlight, like a river of stars. It exploded with an astonishing strangling aura and wrapped around Su Fang's waist. As long as one was entangled by this Dao artifact, one would be instantly strangled to death. Su Fang released his nebula force. The nebula around him surged and turned into a strange halo that protected him. He broke free from the chain of 7 stars and rushed towards Lien Changxian. He was using the ultimate nebula skill of the 9 heavenly stars, the ultimate nebula skill. A mere 3rd-level heavenly immortal can cultivate the ultimate nebula skill to such an extent that he can break free from the power of my doctrine artifact. Lien Changxian was shocked. He hurriedly activated his doctrine artifact to chase after Su Fang. Unexpectedly, Su Fang's body movements suddenly became nimble. He used the fire cloud steps and stepped out a trail of flames. He quickly arrived in front of Lien Changxian. Not only was he extremely fast, but he was also not shackled by Lien Changxian's aura. Lien Changxian was stunned. Then, Su Fang threw out a punch. It was a punch that did not form any seals, nor did it have any special moves. However, it contained a terrifying power. It was as if all the power in the surrounding space had been gathered together to crush everything before it. Meteor Chaos Technique. Lien Changxian was shocked. His mind rumbled. The Meteor Chaos Technique was an offensive skill that the founder of the constellation of 9 heavens had comprehended from the 9 heavenly stars' minor art. It could be said that it was the ultimate manifestation of the Tao of the stars. Its power was shocking. It was the most powerful skill in the constellation of 9 heavens. Even special disciples couldn't cultivate this skill if they didn't make great contributions to the sect. Naturally, a new special disciple like Lien Changxian didn't have the right to cultivate it. What shocked Lien Changxian wasn't just that Su Fang had cultivated the Meteor Chaos Technique. What shocked him even more was that Su Fang could cultivate this skill to such an extent with his current level of cultivation. Boom! Their auras collided. Starlight shone brightly. The surrounding starry fog shook and rolled. Su Fang was pushed back more than 10 meters. Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. However, his aura didn't weaken at all. Instead, it grew stronger. He was full of confidence. He was proud of himself for being able to shake a feather immortal with his cultivation level of 3 Dao realm. Lien Changxian's body was almost overturned. He kept retreating and swallowed the blood that surged to his throat. His face was red. He was not only shocked, but also anxious. Su Fang mocked, "I'm just a little Dao realm ant. I can easily crush you." Lien Changxian's face was burning. He roared and activated the 7-star chain with all his strength. He attacked Su Fang fiercely. Chapter 1172. Huangfu Shaoying, your talent is out of this world, and I cannot help but admire you. You are qualified to become a special disciple. However, this concerns Fairy Xuanxin's happiness, so you have to die. Lien Changxian and Su Fang were locked in a fight. He wanted to vent all his anger and hatred on Su Fang. It's already difficult for you to defeat me, let alone kill me. Yin Sun Shin is entangled with Entiendu. He might be able to defeat Entiendu if he uses the dual sword of destruction, but does he dare to reveal his identity? I advise you not to be blinded by greed. Su Fong sneered and attacked Lien Chongxian's mind. What Su Fong said was the truth, causing Lien Chongxian to be anxious and impetuous. Yin Sun Shin made use of Fairy Xuanxin and then abandoned her heartlessly. Not only was his reputation tarnished, but he also encountered a bottleneck and couldn't break through. You keep saying that you love Xuanxin. Why don't you kill Yin Sun Shin? Why are you willing to be his lackey? From what I know, in order to protect his reputation, Yin Sun Shin repeatedly used despicable means to kill Fairy Xuanxin. In a mausoleum of the Devil King of Hades, Yin Sun Shin almost caused Fairy Xuanxin's primordial spirit and vital energy to collapse. Huangfu Shaoying, what you said is true. Lien Chongxian was in disbelief and stopped attacking. Do I need to lie to you? Yin Sun Shin made use of your love for Xuanxin and instigated you to kill me. You just want to snatch the ethereal enlightenment from me. Lien Chongxian, you are a special disciple of Star Palace. You can't even see through this. Su Fong's angry roars were like thunder. Since Lien Chongxian was able to become a special disciple, he naturally wasn't stupid. He gradually calmed down. Luo spoke from Su Fong's body. Since there's no one around, let the great monk Shangde and the ghost sect's 5 freaks kill Lien Chongxian. Why bother? Su Fong replied in his mind. Lien Chongxian is talented, but he was blinded by love. He is not a heartless person, and it would be a pity to kill him. Moreover, we can use him to deal with Yin Sun Shin, or at least create some trouble for Yin Sun Shin. Law couldn't help but praise. Killing is not the only way to deal with the enemy. You know this, and you know how to use force to fight force, which shows that you are becoming more and more mature. Isn't this the result of training step by step? Su Fong replied to Luo in his mind as he watched Lien Chongxian's every move. If Lien Chongxian still couldn't control him, he would have to use other spells to suppress him. At this moment, 2 figures flew over from the sky. One of them was Out Yin Chanhen, and the other was an old man with white hair. He wore a Taoist robe, and there were many scrolls on it. He looked like an ancient scroll, and his aura contained many Taoist techniques. The strength of this expert from the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls Gate was about the same as Ao Hin Longevity Heaven. Su Fong's cultivation of the ethereal true scripture had triggered a heavenly omen, causing him to be pressured by various experts, including this old man. Whoosh, 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 the experts from the constellation of 9 heavens and the gate of 1,000 scrolls tore through the starry fog and rushed over. Lien Chongxian's face was ashen, but he didn't intend to escape. He looked like he was resigned to his fate. Huangfu Shaoying, are you all right? Out Yin Chanhen saw that Su Fong and Lien Chongxian both looked like they had just gone through a fierce battle and couldn't help but frown. Su Fong cupped his fists and said, "Thank you for your concern, Elder Out Yin. I was attacked by a black-robed expert just now. Fortunately, senior apprentice brother Chongxian fought to the death, and senior apprentice brother Entiendu suddenly arrived. I was injured, but I'm fine." Entiendu came as well? Out Yin Chanhen was very surprised. He clearly didn't know that the sect had arranged for such a backup. But it was also thanks to this arrangement that Huangfu Shaoying would have been in great danger if he had known about it in advance and the traitor had leaked the information. Lien Chongxian, you've done well in protecting Huangfu Shaoying. Once we return to the sect, you'll be handsomely rewarded, Out Yin Chanhen said to Lien Chongxian. Lien Chongxian nodded submissively and looked at Su Fong in shock. He couldn't believe that he had escaped death just like that. Your talent isn't bad, so I'll let you go this time. If you continue to be stubborn, I'll definitely kill you. Su Fong's voice rang out in Lien Chongxian's mind. His voice was so domineering that Lien Chongxian couldn't help but feel a wave of fear. Ao Tianzhonghen opened his mouth and said, "Shaoying, why haven't you come over to pay your respects to Elder Kong Yuanqing of the Green Book Gate? If it wasn't for Elder Kong Yuanqing leading many experts to arrive in time and heavily injure Reverend Santong, Nine Heaven Star Palace would have suffered heavy losses. Su Fong hurriedly bowed. Elder Kong looked Su Fong up and down, his gaze carrying a shocking divine pressure. He looked polite, but in reality, he was high and mighty. If it weren't for Su Fong's special status, he wouldn't have even looked at him. Whoosh! The experts of the Green Book Gate all focused their gazes on Su Fong. Seeing that Su Fong's appearance was nothing special and that he was only a third Dao realm Xian immortal, they all looked at him with contempt. The experts of the constellation of Nine Heavens all understood the purpose of this trip. It was to escort Huangfu Shaoying, a Xian immortal disciple. Many of their experts had died in the Black-Robe Men's attack, and most of them were injured. They all felt some enmity towards Su Fong. Out Yin Chanhen and Kong Yuanqing led the group through the starry fog. Deep within the fog, a flame-robed man put away his talisman. His face was filled with anger, and two shocking sword intents swam around him, dispersing the fog around him. This person was Yin Sunshin. He had fought in Tiandu, but because he was worried about exposing his identity, he didn't dare to use the twin swords of annihilation or Huoyin Shinrikyo's powerful abilities. He had fought in Tiandu to a draw, and in the end, he had no choice but to retreat. This plan to kill Huangfu Shaoying and steal the ethereal true scripture had failed. Lian Changxian, how dare you ignore me? Trash, a ninth Dao realm feather immortal. Can't even deal with a puny sky immortal. What piece of trash? I'll get rid of you sooner or later. This failure is nothing. With Huangfu Shaoying as a spy, it won't be difficult to get the ethereal true scripture. There will be plenty of opportunities to capture Huangfu Shaoying and find out all the secrets of the ethereal true scripture. Gu Huajun from the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate will come in handy. I have the twin swords of annihilation, one of the 10 great Dao artifacts of the great world. If I get the ethereal true scripture, the great world will be mine sooner or later. Sword intent surged in Yin Senshin's eyes as he turned around and disappeared into the starry fog. 3 months later, more than 50 figures flew through the depths of the void, with Su Fong in the center. In the void, where nebulas and impurities were mixed, there were 3 huge objects floating in the void. It was as if there were 3 heavens floating in the void, and they exuded a shocking aura of the world. This was the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate. Rumor had it that this was the dojo of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate. Shaoying, we've arrived at the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate. Stay alert. Out Hian Chanhen suddenly sent a voice transmission to Su Fong with his primordial spirit. Thank you for your reminder. Su Fong nodded in response. He was looking forward to it, but of course, it wasn't because of Fairy Xuanxin. Rumor had it that the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate had 3 dojos: Lesser Clear Skies, Greater Clear Skies, and Upper Clear Skies. There were countless powerful techniques in the sect, and every disciple was proficient in using divine powers. They were extremely familiar with the great world's techniques. If he married Xuanxin, Su Fong would at least have the status of a special disciple. Not only could he enter the Upper Clear Skies, which was a place for special disciples to cultivate, he could also read the powerful techniques of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate. What Su Fong looked forward to the most was that the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate also had a weapon refining dojo, and it was of a higher level than the constellation of Nine Heavens. He could enter the weapon refining dojo as a special disciple and use his Purple Cloud's Dharma spirit to absorb the great pregnant purple clouds. Under the lead of Elder Kong Yuanqing, Su Fong and Ao Yinshanen passed through the enchantment and stepped into the Upper Clear Skies. The other Star Palace experts were brought to Lesser Clear Skies. Compared to the outside world, the Upper Clear Skies was a completely different world. Rivers and mountains covered the entire continent, and the spiritual energy was rich and dense. The special disciples of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate cultivated in the Upper Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate's special dojo. The higher-ups of the sect also lived in the Upper Clear Skies. Whoosh, more than 10 special disciples of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate came forward. This is the distinguished guest from the constellation of Nine Heavens, Huangfu Shaoying, who was going to marry Junior Xuanxin. The man leading the group had thick eyebrows and big eyes. He had high cheekbones, and his face was filled with arrogance. He was Gu Huajun. Su Fong thought of Gu Huajun's despicable actions in the past and sneered in his heart. However, he pretended not to know him and cupped his fists and said politely, Huangfu Shaoying from the Star Palace greets the senior brothers from the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate. The special disciples were all cold and arrogant, and they looked down on Su Fong with disdain. This junior Huangfu looks familiar. Where have we met before? Gu Huajun looked at Su Fong from head to toe. He pretended to be suddenly enlightened and said, I remember now. When Junior Xuanxin and I went to the Huangze astral together, we met a cultivator in the celestial immortal realm. He was secretly eavesdropping on our conversation. Isn't that Junior Huangfu? He even called me and Xuanxin seniors. The special disciples beside him laughed. Elder Kong Yuanqing smiled, but Out Yin Zhonghen frowned and looked angry. Are you trying to show me who's boss? I, Su Fong, am not someone who can be humiliated. I'll let you be proud for a while, Gu Huajun. It won't be long before I trample you under my feet. Su Fong looked calm, but his heart was filled with murderous intent. Huangfu Shaoying will be a member of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate in the future. He will also cultivate in the Clear Skies Taoist Temple. How dare you be so rude and leave? Kong Yuanqing snorted coldly and brought Ao Tianchanhen and Su Fong away. They arrived at a palace on a towering mountain. A toad actually wants to eat swan meat. Arrogant fool, overestimating himself. The special disciples of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate looked at Su Fong and sneered. He was a celestial immortal realm 2 Dao that day, but now he's a celestial immortal realm 3 Dao profound immortal. This kid is indeed not ordinary. However, a mere profound immortal is still a lowly ant in my eyes. He dares to snatch Junior Xuanxin from me. He's courting death. Yin Sunxin wasn't able to kill this lowly ant on the way. Now that we're at the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate, I must kill him. Gu Huajun clenched his fists, and his eyes flashed with a sinister light. Seeing that the special disciples were not convinced, Gu Huajun said, Junior Xuanxin, the number 1 fairy, is going to be married to a profound immortal. What a pity. The special disciples of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate were filled with righteous indignation and shouted that they would teach Su Fong a lesson. A smug look appeared in Gu Huajun's eyes, but on the surface, he looked as if he felt sorry for Fairy Xuanxin. Su Fong was brought to the palace on the mountain. The upper echelons of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate were gathered in the palace. Huangfu Shaoying, I want to see what kind of genius you are to be worthy of my Xian Yintian's granddaughter. Su Fong was sizing up the upper echelons of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate when a white-haired old man shouted angrily, and a majestic pressure enveloped Su Fong. Fairy Xuanxin's grandfather, Xian Yintian, is very powerful. Su Fong felt a shackle of condensed true qi crazily rush into his body from all directions. It was like a mountain was pressing down on him, wanting to crush him. Chapter 1173. Brother Xian, what's the meaning of this? Out Yin Changhen's gaze suddenly sharpened. Just as he was about to release his divine aura to resolve Su Fong's problem, Elder Kong Yuanqing smiled and stopped him. Elder Xian just wants to test his future grandson-in-law. Brother Out Yin, why do you have to do this? Out Yin Changhen could only give up. He couldn't help but worry for Su Fong. Xian Yintian was even stronger than Out Yin Changhen, and he was comparable to the Grand Elder. How could a profound immortal withstand the pressure of his divine aura? Even if Huangfu Shaoying wasn't injured, it was inevitable that he would embarrass himself in front of everyone. The constellation of 9 heavens would also lose face. The upper echelons of the Clear Skies 1,000 Scrolls door, including the Great Elder, were all smiling as they waited for Su Fong to make a fool of himself. The 2 factions had formed an alliance through marriage. Although the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls Gate had obtained the peerless cultivation technique, ethereal true scripture, they had to share the pressure from the other factions for the constellation of 9 heavens. Moreover, They had to suffer the reputation of exchanging female disciples for the ethereal true scripture. The higher-ups were somewhat resentful. Using Xian Yin Tian to vent their anger would make the higher-ups happy, but it wouldn't hurt the relationship between the two factions. After all, Huangfu Shaoying was only a profound immortal. Kneel! Xian Yin Tian suddenly increased his divine aura. Su Fang's body sank, and he knelt on the ground. Ever since I stepped into the clear skies myriad scrolls gate, I've been mocked and even humiliated by the sect's elders and disciples. If I continue to endure, I won't be able to establish myself in the clear skies myriad scrolls gate, let alone dominate the entire great world. This time, I won't submit. Su Fang's anger and strong willpower forced him to release a ring of astral energy. Starlight bloomed, and his aura swept out. With the help of his powerful physical body, he forced Xian Yintian's divine aura away bit by bit. He slowly stood up. His body trembled, and the sound of his flesh breaking could be heard. However, his back was straight. Even a towering mountain couldn't crush him. Instead, he lifted the mountain up. Yes, Huangfu Shaoying's Tao heart is not simple. Seeing the unyielding look on Su Fang's face, the higher-ups present were surprised, and there was no longer contempt in their eyes. Xian Yin Tian furrowed his white eyebrows and was about to increase the pressure when a great elder with the highest status among the higher-ups suddenly said, "Great Elder Yin Tian, enough is enough." Xian Yin Tian had to restrain his momentum and shouted at Su Fang, "You're just a Xian immortal, a disciple with a different surname from Huangfu Taoist Temple. You're just a lowly ant. Where did you get the courage to have improper thoughts about my granddaughter? A toad lusting after a swan's meat." An elder beside him added, his tone full of mockery. Su Fang was silent for a while. He raised his head and looked at Xian Yin Tian, unyielding. Fairy Xuanxin is known as the #1 beauty of the immortal world. Not only is she peerlessly beautiful, but her strength and cultivation are also peerless among her peers. She can be said to be a proud daughter of the heavens. And I, Shaoying of Huangfu, am indeed lowly. My strength and cultivation are indeed weak. Compared to Fairy Xuanxin, one is in heaven and the other is on earth. In your eyes, I'm just a toad who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. But I want to tell you that you're wrong. Su Fang suddenly raised his voice, revealing his loftiness. I ascended to the great immortal world from a small world and entered the constellation of 9 heavens to cultivate. At that time, I was only a virtual immortal cultivator. My status was even lower than a lowly follower, and any ordinary disciple could bully me at will. But I never gave in. First, I stepped into the heavenly immortal realm in a few decades. Now I've cultivated to the Xian immortal realm in a short period of time. It's only been less than 300 years. What a shocking cultivation. The higher-ups of the Clear Skies 1,000 Scrolls door in the cultivation hall were all shocked. Even Xian Yin Tian, who was originally furious, was moved. In less than 10 years after entering the Star Palace's blacksmith training hall, I've refined a low-grade Tao artifact. In less than 100 years, I've refined a middle-grade Tao artifact. My talent in blacksmithing is shocking, and I've overshadowed all the genius blacksmithing disciples of the Star Palace. In the future, I'll definitely become a blacksmith grandmaster, and my future is limitless. There's a saying in the small world, 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Who can determine my future achievements? Fairy Xuanxin's peerless appearance is publicly acknowledged as the #1 fairy. Who doesn't admire her? When Fairy Xuanxin went to the Star Palace to choose a male disciple to dual cultivate with, all the special disciples were eager to give it a try. With my cultivation speed and talent in blacksmithing, who can compare to me? Why can't I be compatible with her? Su Fang continued to speak arrogantly. His clanging voice shook the higher-ups of the Clear Skies 1,000 Scrolls door, and the contempt they had at the beginning disappeared. Instead, they felt that this Huangfu Shaoying was the most suitable partner for Fairy Xuanxin to dual cultivate with. Su Fang didn't mention the ethereal true interpretation, taking into account the prestige of the Clear Skies 1,000 Scrolls doors higher-ups. making them feel that this young man was very pleasing to the eye. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Xian Yintian laughed loudly. His voice was so powerful that it caused the hall to buzz. He seemed to be very happy. Ao Tian Chong Hen, your constellation of 9 heavens actually has such a peerless genius. Good, 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 said Xian Yintian clearly. Proud heaven chanting hatred smiled as he looked at Su Fong with eyes full of praise. I pass. Su Fong let out a sigh of relief. Although he had said those words just now, he had been worried about angering Xian Yintian. This was a peerless expert who had been famous for a long time. If he provoked him in front of everyone, even if he didn't get injured, he would still end up disgraced. How would he have a foothold in the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door in the future? Huangfu Shaoying, you've passed my trial. But I'll say this up front. If you ever make Xuanxin suffer the slightest grievance, even if your talent is heaven-defying, I won't forgive you. Xian Yintian stared at Su Fong. His gaze was sharp, and Su Fong's hair stood on end. Here are 3 peak-grade medicinal pills. Consider them a greeting gift. Quickly raise your cultivation base. Puny Xian Immortal, humph, it really is embarrassing. Xian Yintian waved his sleeve, and a pill bottle flew towards Su Fong, then floated away. Luo's voice rang out from Su Fong's body. Peak-grade medicinal pills. TSK, TSK. This Xian Yintian really is generous. With these 3 peak-grade medicinal pills, you can break through 2 minor realms in a short time. You didn't become his grandson-in-law for nothing. Hearing Luo's teasing, Su Fong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He carefully put away the medicinal pills. He was naturally delighted. He had a lot of resources, and he had countless medicinal pills. It was enough to match the entire wealth of a small sect. However, he didn't have a single peak-grade medicinal pill. Although he didn't know the use of peak-grade medicinal pills, since Luo said they could help him break through 2 minor realms, Su Fong's heart began to burn. What marriage alliance? If you were strong enough, that was the way to go. When he came to the clear sky, Thousand Scrolls gate, he was looked down upon because he didn't have enough strength. The first elder sitting at the top said, Huangfu Shaoying, from today onwards, you will stay in the clear sky, Thousand Scrolls gate. You will be granted the status of a special disciple. You will enjoy the same resources as other special disciples. 10 years later, we will hold a grand marriage ceremony for you and Xuanxin. Thank you, senior members. Su Fong cupped his fists and bowed. He looked overjoyed, but his heart was calm. He needed time and a place to cultivate quietly. As for the marriage alliance, he wasn't very interested. The first elder waved his hand. Elder Kong Yuanqing, choose a quiet place for Huangfu Shaoying to cultivate. Yes. Elder Kong Yuanqing led Su Fong out of the main hall. He suddenly formed a seal and flashed into a passage, arriving at a void secret realm. The secret realm wasn't big. There was only a mountain peak, but the scenery was beautiful. Green trees provided shade, waterfalls surged, immortal fog lingered, and abundant spiritual energy surged in the space. Cultivating here would definitely be twice the result with half the effort. This secret realm is a place for the sect to receive elders and VIPs. Huangfu Shaoying, you can stay here for the time being. No one will disturb you. Elder Kong Yuanqing patiently explained to Su Fong. His expression was no longer as arrogant as before. Su Fong asked, I like to refine weapons. Can I enter the clear sky, Thousand Scrolls gates secret realm? Kong Yuanqing nodded. Although you are a disciple of the constellation of 9 heavens and have a marriage alliance with Xuanxin, you are also a special disciple of the clear sky, Thousand Scrolls gate. Of course, you have the right to enter the secret realm. Naturally, the refining realm is included. This trip to the clear sky, Thousand Scrolls gate has been a long and dangerous journey. Rest well. If you need anything, contact me directly with a rune talisman. If there is nothing special, it's best not to leave the sect. You should know that many forces are watching you because of the ethereal true solution. Kong Yuanqing said a few words and threw a rune talisman to Su Fong. Then, he formed a seal and shuttled away. Su Fong arrived at the cave abode on the mountain peak. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth was abnormally abundant, just right for cultivation. Su Fong sat down cross-legged in the cave abode and let Bai Ling out for some fresh air. This is the Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls Gate. Brother, you are really amazing. You can actually enjoy the VIP treatment in the Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls Gate. Bai Ling looked very excited. Obviously, he was uncomfortable being in the crucible transformation realm all this time. He suddenly jumped out of the cave abode, and cheerful laughter came from outside. Swallow a top-grade pill and break through to the peak of the mystic immortal realm. Su Fong took out the pill bottle that Xianyin Tian gave him and took out a top-grade pill. It turned into rolling energy and flowed into his dantian. Then he began to cultivate. The yin-yang Dao wheel fused with the world fragment. The power of the world of yin and yang surged out. The 22 yang meridians rotated like growth rings. Together with the reincarnation power released by the underworld reincarnation sword, he formed a seal and gathered all the energy in his body. The pure yang true fire and the illusory fire cloud burned at the same time. The fire cloud and a mysterious purple gas lingered around his upper body and constantly attacked. A few months passed. Under Su Fong's continuous attacks, tribulation qi suddenly ignited in his body. It was like a basin of fire burning in his body. It spurted out of his body and wrapped around his body. The impurities in the placenta seeped out of his skin. His whole body felt like it was being torn apart. It was extremely painful. This pain is nothing. Su Fong's eyes were filled with determination. There was a smile on his face. The pain he was enduring now was indeed nothing compared to the pain he experienced when he first stepped on the path of cultivation. In fact, he was enjoying it. After a few days, the tribulation fire gradually weakened and finally disappeared completely. Next, it's the transformation of my body, meridians, origin golden core, and divine aperture. It's really comfortable. After a long time, Su Fong suddenly stood up and released a majestic aura. His long hair fluttered in the wind. The aura he released seemed to be able to destroy mountains and cut rivers with a raise of his hand. Whether it was the aura he released or the Dao marks in his body, they were all of the mystic immortal realm. What was even more shocking was that this time, with the help of the top-grade pill, not only did he break through to the mystic immortal realm, but he also far exceeded his normal state and reached an extremely high level. Su Fong felt that it wasn't difficult to continue breaking through. Su Fong thought for a while and gave up the idea of continuing to swallow top-grade pills to improve in one go. Although it was satisfying to break through continuously, it would cause the foundation of his cultivation to be unstable and leave behind problems for his future cultivation. "Brother, save me." At this time, Bai Ling's scream came from outside the cave. Chapter 1174. Su Fong saw the scene outside the cave mansion clearly with the power of the Great Perfection stage. He was furious, and his eyes were spitting fire. A young cultivator from the Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls Gate stepped on the air. The young man was handsome, and his face was full of arrogance. Bai Ling was held in his hand. Her body was wrapped in bright golden threads, and her Xian Guang was shining. The golden threads were entangled in Bai Ling's clothes and flesh. Her whole body was dripping with blood, and she was in great pain. Behind the young cultivator, there were more than a dozen disciples of the Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls Gate. They all looked like they were watching a show. Among them, there were a few special disciples. Gu Huajun was also among them. She looked proud and cold. Sister Bai Ling, Su Fong's heart twitched. He had always regarded Bai Ling as a family member. He had never seen her as a big goblin. At this time, Bai Ling was humiliated, which made him feel like his heart was being cut by a knife. He looked at the young cultivator with murderous intent in his heart. The young cultivator was a special disciple. His cultivation realm was very good. He was in the 9th Dao realm of the Feather Immortal realm. However, from the aura, he was weaker than the Refinement Immortal. Huangfu Shaoing, come out. The young cultivator landed in the open space in front of the cave mansion. A red disciple who followed him shouted loudly with arrogance. Boom! Su Fong stepped out of the cave mansion. The red disciple shouted proudly. Huangfu Shaoying, young master Ning Zichuan, came specially to visit and encountered this crane demon. He specially helped you to capture it as a gift. Bai Ling was thrown to Su Fong's feet. She cried out in pain, her face full of pain. The young cultivator, named Ning Zichuan, suddenly formed seal. The golden threads that bound Bai Ling suddenly shot out and fell into his palm. Su Fong did not care about anything else. He immediately received Bai Ling into the crucible transformation world within his body. Then he separated out a wisp of his life essence, waved his hand, and sent out a medicinal pill to help Bai Ling recover. He then asked with concern, "Elder sister Bai Ling, what happened?" Bai Ling was very angry. Those disciples of the clear skies door suddenly appeared. Before I could say anything, they suddenly attacked. I was worried that it would cause you trouble, so I did not dare to use the power of chaos. In the end, I was bound by that special disciple called Ning Zichuan with a Tao item. You've gone too far. Elder sister Bai Ling, just you watch. I'll get justice for you. Su Fong clenched his fists tightly, and an awe-inspiring aura emanated from his body. Bai Ling hesitated and said, "Brother, shouldn't you bear with it this time? You just arrived at the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door, and you've already made enemies with someone. I'm afraid you'll get into trouble." Su Fong said in a domineering manner, "The great world of endurance pursues the law of the jungle. The more you tolerate, the more you'll be bullied. If you want to step on my head, you'll have to pay a heavy price." Monk Shangda added fuel to the fire. "Master, let me go out and kill all these disciples of the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door. I haven't exercised for a long time, and my whole body is almost rusty." King Green Feather mercilessly exposed him. "You're just an unvirtuous monk who bullies the weak and fears the strong. When facing a peerless powerhouse, why don't I see you taking the initiative? Those disciples of the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door, Su Fong can easily crush them without revealing his hidden strength." Monk Shangda smiled embarrassedly with a shameless look. Seeing that Su Fong did not speak, the red disciple thought that he was afraid and became more arrogant. Huangfu Shaoying, young Master Ning, came in person and even captured the demon for you. Hurry up and invite young Master Ning into the cave abode. This lowly disciple from the constellation of 9 heavens really doesn't know how to be polite. Do I have to kneel and lick your boots? Su Fong smiled coldly, revealing his domineering aura. Then he suddenly attacked. "For insulting my family, I'll return it 10 times over." Nebula palm technique. Ja. Between his 5 fingers, starlight shone like thunder, and an aura crushed the red disciple in front of him. Ning Zichuan said proudly, "Hongzhan, teach this Huangfu Shaoying the etiquette of the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door. Just leave him with some breath. Fairy Xianzi is a proud daughter of heaven. How can a mere heaven immortal cultivator be worthy of being Fairy Xuanxin's dual cultivation partner? Young Master Ning, don't worry. I guarantee that he will crawl out of the sect." The red disciple was very proud. He treated Su Fong as nothing. His cultivation of the feather immortal realm exploded, and he released fire and thunder divine abilities one after another. The clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door had mastered all kinds of Tao techniques, and the disciples in the sect had all kinds of divine abilities. This red disciple Hongzhan was just an ordinary disciple, but his combat strength was quite amazing. In everyone's opinion, Su Fong was a heaven immortal cultivator. Facing a feather immortal powerhouse, wouldn't he be crushed? Whoosh! Unexpectedly, Su Fong used the fire cloud steps and stepped out with a flame trace. He was not shackled at all. He was nimble and extremely fast, avoiding Hongzhan's fierce attack. Without forming any seals, he punched out. It looked like a very ordinary punch, but it seemed to have gathered the power of the stars. It was majestic, crushing and destroying any obstacles in front of it. Meteor chaos technique, rumble. Starlight burst out, and Hongzhan's divine aura collapsed like rotten wood. His body was sent flying and smashed hard on the mountain rock beside the cave abode. Crack! Crack! Hongzhan, who was still insufferably arrogant just now, had countless bones in his body shattered. Fresh blood spurted out, and he was seriously injured. Su Fong stood there, not moving at all. His supreme, domineering aura was revealed. A heaven immortal realm, for Dao actually defeated a feather immortal powerhouse. Realm skipper. This Huangfu Shaoying is actually a realm skipper. So what? He can defeat Hong Zhan, but can he defeat Ning Zichuan? Ning Zichuan is a new special disciple, and his background is amazing. This Huangfu Shaoying is going to suffer. The disciples of the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door, who were watching from behind, were discussing. It was as if they were watching a good show. Gu Huajun's face was full of pride. Ning Zichuan was provoked by him and came to provoke Su Fong. In his opinion, no matter what the result was, Su Fong would be the one to suffer in the end. He used such a small trick to kill his love rival. How could he not be proud? Huangfu Shaoying, you are qualified to make me use 30% of my strength. Ning Zichuan said arrogantly. He suddenly attacked, and a cold aura swept out. The surrounding temperature suddenly dropped, and a layer of ice formed on the ground. Cold fog rolled in the air, and a freezing aura covered Su Fong. Using ice element mystical abilities against me, Su Fong felt that his blood and even his essence soul were frozen. He couldn't help but sneer in his heart. He secretly activated the illusory fire cloud, and the pure yang true fire supreme divine aura circulated in his body. The two forces merged, and it was as if a volcano suddenly erupted. Boom! Ning Zichuan's ice element divine aura shackled. Su Fong's body instantly collapsed and disappeared. You are indeed capable. You are qualified to make me use half of my strength. Ning Zichuan wasn't surprised. He activated his divine aura, and his aura suddenly changed. His body burned with rolling flames. He was indeed a special disciple of the clear skies myriad scroll gate. He could quickly switch between ice and fire, two completely opposite mystical abilities. Ning Zichuan charged at Su Fong. The flames were like a burning beast. The terrifying heat wave twisted the surrounding light. From afar, Su Fong looked like he was burned out of shape by the fire. Boom! The explosion shook the sky and shook the space. Su Fong was sent flying for dozens of feet before landing with sparks. His clothes were burned, and his hair was curled up. Even his body was injured by the explosion, but the injuries weren't serious. Ning Zichuan jumped out of the rolling waves of air. He looked much more miserable. His internal organs were also burned. He was shocked and angry. He gritted his teeth and said, "Very good, Huangfu Shaoying. You are the first heaven immortal cultivator to make me use all of my strength." Su Fong sneered mercilessly. Does the genius disciple of the clear skies myriad scroll gate only know how to talk nonsense? You speak as if you were a peerless powerhouse at the level of the Grand Elder. Huangfu Shaoying, you are courting death. Ning Zichuan was angry. The golden Xian Guang in his hand flashed, and a golden thread-shaped Dao artifact appeared. It was the middle-grade Dao artifact used to bind Bai Ling. It was called the Fairy Binding Silk. Although its grade wasn't high, its function was strange and powerful. Once bound, the cultivator wouldn't be able to use their mystical abilities. Even their essence soul would be shackled. Unexpectedly, Su Fong didn't dodge. He reached out and grabbed the golden thread-shaped Dao artifact. Purple Qi Dharma Spirit. The Purple Qi Dharma Spirit could not only sense the aura of magic treasures, but also greatly increase Su Fong's ability to control magic treasures. Ordinary cultivators couldn't activate powerful Dao artifacts, but Su Fong could easily do it with the help of the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit. Coupled with his powerful essence soul, Su Fong could even control the enemy's magic treasures. Now that the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit had merged with Su Fong's arms, it was not difficult to directly control Ning Zichuan's Dao artifacts. However, that would be a bit shocking. Therefore, Su Fong cut off the connection between the fairy binding silk and Ning Zichuan. Then he activated the Nine-Yang True Fire and the illusory fire cloud. His palms turned into raging flames. The middle-grade Dao artifact, the fairy binding silk, quickly melted in Su Fang's palm and turned into a liquid state. Finally, it was swallowed by the mysterious yellow pagoda. Although Su Fang did his best to hide it, this scene still made Ning Zichuan's face filled with disbelief. The people watching the battle in the distance were also dumbfounded. It was too shocking. Ning Zichuan once again threw out a ring-shaped, middle-grade Dao artifact. It fell towards Su Fang's head. In the end, this ring-shaped Dao artifact, like the fairy binding silk, became the mysterious yellow pagoda's food. What the hell? Does he have a supreme Dao artifact that can swallow other people's magic treasures? Ning Zichuan's face was filled with surprise and shock. He didn't dare to continue using Dao artifacts. However, when he was about to use his ability, he found that more than half of his true qi had been consumed. Su Fang took the opportunity to step on flames and attack Ning Zichuan. Meteor Chaos Art. Divine Might Explosion. Bang! Ning Zichuan was swept away. He slid a dozen meters on the ground, leaving behind a trench. Su Fang didn't give up. He flew forward and stomped heavily on Ning Zichuan's chest. His true qi spewed out, heavily injuring Ning Zichuan's internal organs. Blood wildly spurted out. The disciples watching from afar felt their minds explode. Their faces were filled with shock and horror. How could they know that if Su Fang used his full strength, dealing with a cultivator like Ning Zichuan would only take a breath's time if he didn't care about anything else? He wouldn't have to go through so much trouble like this. Su Fang looked down at Ning Zichuan. You just said that you would only leave me with one breath. You know who I am. I am a special disciple of the Clear Sky Myriad Scroll Gate. If you dare touch me, the sect definitely won't forgive you. Although Ning Zichuan was restrained, he was still very unyielding. Su Fang's tone was indifferent. I am also a special disciple of the Clear Sky Myriad Scroll Gate. Furthermore, the sect treats me as an honored guest. You trespassed on the residence of an honored guest. Even if I kill you, the sect definitely won't hold me accountable. Ning Zichuan laughed wildly. My brother Ning Zichuan is the #1 genius disciple of the Tool Refining Palace. His power is boundless. If you dare touch me, he'll make you wish you were dead. I won't touch you. I'll destroy your golden core, Su Fang said coldly as he circulated his true qi to his feet. Save me, Gu Huajun, save me. Ning Zichuan was finally afraid. He shouted at the disciples of the Clear Sky Myriad Scroll Gate in the distance. Huangfu Shaoing, how dare you? Gu Huajun shouted thunderously. Why wouldn't I? Su Fang suddenly exerted force on his feet. His true qi rushed into Ning Zichuan's dantian and destroyed his golden core. With a shrill scream, he fainted. Huangfu Shaoing hurt my fellow disciple. We can't let him go. Under Gu Huajun's instigation, a dozen disciples' auras surged and they attacked Su Fang. Chapter 1175. A white-haired elder flew through the air and appeared in front of Su Fang. Facing the aggressive disciples of the Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls door, a shocking aura swept out and forced everyone back. This white-haired old man was the most ordinary elder of the Clear Skies, Thousand Scrolls Gate, Kong Yuanqing. What's going on? Seeing Ning Zichuan being stepped on by Su Fang and the heavily injured Hong Zhan, Kong Yuanqing frowned. I was cultivating in seclusion. These people were jealous that I became Xuanxin's dual cultivation partner. They came here and said they would beat me to death, so I had no choice but to attack. Su Fang moved his foot away from Ning Zichuan and cupped his fist towards Kong Yuanqing, looking very wronged and innocent. His Jin Dan was destroyed. Kong Yuanqing separated a strand of his soul and scanned Ning Zichuan. He raised his eyebrows and looked at Su Fang, his eyes flashing. Ning Zichuan was a 9th Dao Realm Feather Immortal, but he was actually defeated by a profound immortal. Ever since I came to the Clear Skies Thousand Scrolls Gate, I've been discriminated against and ridiculed. If I didn't have some tricks up my sleeve this time, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to keep my life. The reason is that I'm related to Xuanxin by marriage. Since that's the case, I can only leave the Clear Skies Thousand Scrolls Gate and cancel marriage. Please allow me to do so, Elder Kong. Su Fang's face was filled with grief and indignation. When the disciples saw that Su Fong was the one in the wrong, they were all furious. However, with Kong Yuanqing present and the fact that they were in the wrong, they didn't dare to argue. They were so angry that their teeth chattered. The marriage is related to the two great sections. How can it be trifled with? Kong Yuanqing said in surprise. He looked at the dead Ning Zichuan and sighed inwardly. What a domineering Huangfu Shaoying. After crippling Ning Zichuan, not only did he remove himself from the blame, he still refused to let it go. However, Huangfu Shaoying was very special and received the attention of the sect's higher-ups. Ning Zichuan could only reap what he sowed this time. Ning Zichuan only has himself to blame. He's stripped of his special disciple status. You trespassed the VIP's residence and violated the sect's rules. Your cultivation resources will be revoked for 100 years. If the next time, you'll be kicked out of the secret realm and handed over to the punishment elder. Take these two disgraces and scram. Kong Yuanqing solemnly made the decision. More than a dozen disciples of the Gate of Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls paled, and looked at Su Fong with eyes full of hatred, but they could only leave with Ning Zichuan and Hong Zhan. Huangfu Shaoying, are you satisfied with this punishment? Kong Yuanqing looked at Su Fong and asked kindly. Su Fong gave a fist salute. Thank you, Elder Kong, for upholding justice for me. If you encounter similar situations in the future, you can contact me directly through the inscription talisman. Don't act on your own. Kong Yuanqing warned him and flew away. Su Fong separated his essence spirit and entered the crucible transformation space. Bai Ling's eyes were brimming with tears. She was very grateful to Su Fong. Following such a master really makes me feel at ease. Green Feather King turned into a blue-robed man and sighed with emotion. The other slaves also had the same feeling. They felt a little more belonging and submission to Su Fong from the bottom of their hearts. In the past, they were forced to be deterred, but now they were truly loyal. Law also praised. Not only has your cultivation realm improved rapidly, but your mind is also becoming more and more mature. Gate of Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls. In a special disciples dojo. Gu Huajun took out an inscription talisman, which had a very obvious Huiyin Shinrikyo aura. Brother Yin, I haven't contacted you for a long time. What can I do for you? I heard that Huangfu Shaoying has arrived at the Gate of Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls. At the other end of the inscription talisman was Huiyin Shinrikyo's #1 disciple, Yin Senshin. That's right. This man comes from a lowly background. How can he be worthy of junior sister Xuanxin? Moreover, relying on the protection of the higher-ups, he is arrogant and domineering in the Gate of Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls, and bullies his fellow disciples. Xuanxin actually agreed to dual cultivate with such a person. It's really heartbreaking. If I had known earlier, it's a pity that I'm too far away to help. Otherwise, how can I watch Xuanxin's life be destroyed in the hands of a small mystic immortal cultivator? At the other end of the inscription talisman, Yin Senshin's tone was painful and helpless. There's no need for Brother Yin to do anything. I have my own means to get rid of this Huangfu Shaoying. Gu Huajun's words were filled with killing intent. After cutting off the connection with Yin Senshin, Gu Huajun took out another inscription talisman, and the voice of her primordial spirit shuttled out. Senior brother Ning Zichuan, in the palace where Xian Yintian lived. After receiving the news, Xian Yintian laughed loudly, crippling the new special disciple Ning Zichuan. What a strong Huangfu Shaoying. I didn't misjudge him. Fairy Xuanxin, who was dressed in plain clothes, was as calm as still water. She was slightly surprised when she heard what had happened. Xuanxin, not only is this person talented in forging and cultivation, but his Taoist heart and wisdom are also extraordinary. Maybe he can really help you break through the 1,000-year bottleneck. Xian Tian looked very expectant. Huangfu Shaoying, a person who refuses to accept fate, and I'm not fated to be with him. I only agreed to dual cultivate with him to return that person a favor. Fairy Xuanxin sighed in her heart, and the figure of a man appeared in her mind, Ghostface Rakshasa. In the depths of the empty and desolate star fog, A mountain was shrouded in star fog. Long Xiaojun was wearing a yellow robe, and his whole body was filled with a dominating aura that didn't match his age. He was extraordinarily handsome. A beautiful figure accompanied Long Xiaojun. Her aura was empty and her temperament was cold. It was Huang Lingyao, a lowly heaven immortal cultivator, actually married goddess Xuanxin. The few people I have in this small world are really like toads who have eaten the meat of a swan. However, this way, the constellation of 9 heavens will be allied with the clear sky's myriad scroll gate. It will be much more difficult to obtain the true ethereal enlightenment. Huang Lingyao raised her eyebrows. Long Xiaojun was very determined. My father is determined to obtain the true ethereal enlightenment. No matter how difficult it is, my Long family must obtain it. The ceremony 10 years later will be a good opportunity to test it out. I've asked you to come with me this time. I'll definitely do my best to help you obtain the true ethereal enlightenment. You're familiar with that Huang Fu Shaoying. If you can directly obtain the true ethereal enlightenment from him, that would be the best. Otherwise, Long Xiaojun revealed the loftiness of an overlord. Huang Lingyao was shocked. The appearance of the true ethereal enlightenment would set off a storm that would sweep across the entire immortal realm. Su Fang, who caused this storm, would undoubtedly be crushed to pieces. Of course, Huang Lingyao didn't care about Su Fang's life right now. Immortal AO Great World. Deep in the rear, in a desolate region, there were many palaces that were dazzling and magnificent. The aura of an emperor shrouded the palace and made all things bow down. Tell the crown prince to go to the clear sky's myriad scroll gate with Lin Yihan to participate in the marriage ceremony and bring back the true ethereal enlightenment. The voice of an emperor came from one of the palaces. It was the peerless King Tranquility Emperor, whose name was known throughout the immortal realm. Not only the heavenly Tao immortal realm and Tranquility Emperor's residence, but also the peerless geniuses of the immortal realm, including the 10 young lords, all rushed to the clear sky's myriad scroll gate. The constellation of 9 heavens and the clear sky's myriad scroll gate were also making preparations for the upcoming secret meeting. Su Fang, on the other hand, had a rare moment of peace. He cultivated in his cave and consolidated his cultivation in the profound immortal realm. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. After consuming a large amount of pills and cultivation resources, Su Fang's cultivation quickly returned to its normal state and continued to advance towards the peak. His overall abilities were also transforming along with his strength. However, he didn't consume the supreme-grade immortal essence pills that Xian Yintian gave him. Supreme-grade pills were extremely precious, and he would use them to reach the peak of his cultivation. At the same time, the junior commanders, demon immortals, and slaves were all becoming stronger. Su Fang was confident that he could break through again in a short period of time and reach the profound immortal realm. What made him even happier was that he only needed an opportunity to break through the 23rd Yang Meridian. Su Fang had a faint premonition that the 23rd Yang Meridian that was about to form would bring him a huge harvest. This premonition came from the life shrinking technique. However, Su Fang didn't know what it was exactly. The opportunity to break through the 23rd Yang Meridian should be in the clear sky's myriad scroll gates equipment refinement hall. Even if I can't find this opportunity, I can absorb a large amount of primordial purple chi in the equipment refinement hall and merge with the purple chi dharma spirit to increase my luck again. Thinking of this, Su Fang's heart burned with passion. He took out a talisman and spoke with his Yuan spirit. Elder Kong, I'm Huang Fu Shaoying. I want to go to the equipment refinement hall, but I'm not familiar with the place. Can you find someone to guide me? Please wait a moment. Kong Yuanqing agreed readily. The clear sky's myriad scroll gate had already obtained the ethereal true explanation. The two factions had already formed an alliance and were just waiting for the wedding ceremony to be held. As the main character of the ceremony, the clear sky's myriad scroll gate naturally attached great importance to Su Fang and would grant his request. Whoosh! A middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe with scroll patterns came to the entrance of the cave abode. His eyes were bright and filled with shrewdness. He cupped his fists towards Su Fong, who had been waiting for a long time, and said, "Junior brother Huang Fu, I'm Mo Beifan, an elder in charge of miscellaneous affairs in the Equipment Refinement Hall. I'm here under orders." Elder Mo, Su Fong hurriedly cupped his fists in greeting. However, he was very surprised because the purple Chi Dharma spirit could sense the aura of primordial purple Chi coming from this elder's body. Mo Beifan was very polite. "I'm only in charge of miscellaneous affairs in the training hall. Junior brother Huang Fu, you don't have to be so polite. Just call me senior brother." Senior brother Mo, Su Fong didn't act pretentious and directly changed the way he addressed him. Then he quietly gave Mo Beifan a mid-grade Dao artifact as a greeting gift. He wasn't trying to curry favor with him, but he knew the ways of the world. The primordial purple Chi in the Equipment Refinement Hall was very important to Su Fong. It would be much more convenient to have an elder in charge of miscellaneous affairs to help him. Mo Beifan put away the Dao artifact with a smile and left the cave abode with Su Fong. The two of them flew towards the depths of Shanqing Heaven. Along the way, Su Fong sensed a very powerful aura in each of the mountain peaks. It was obvious that they were special disciples. After becoming Xuanxin's dual cultivation partner, Su Fong became the target of many people, especially the special disciples of the Gate of Clear Skies, Thousand Scrolls. Although Su Fong wasn't afraid of trouble, he wouldn't take the initiative to provoke them. Arriving in the air above a ruin, Mo Beifan said, "This is the Gate of Clear Skies, Thousand Scrolls mystic realm. These ruins were originally a relic of desolate swamp star field. It was moved here by the peerless experts of the sect to become the Equipment Refinement Hall." Su Fong felt the power of the void shackles and immediately activated the Gate of Clear Skies, Thousand Scrolls special disciple token at his waist. The token emitted a protective power that neutralized the shackles. Whoosh! The void suddenly distorted and wrapped around Su Fong and Mo Beifan, bringing them into the formation. When everything returned to normal, a scorching heat wave hit them in the face. Even with Su Fong's fire elemental power, he couldn't get used to it. Su Fong opened his eyes and looked. A huge mountain stood there. The mountain was bare, and the fiery red rocks emitted a shocking amount of heat. At the peak of the mountain, lava spewed and churned. The Equipment Refinement Hall of Clear Skies, Thousand Scrolls was built on top of a volcano. The purple Chi Dharma spirit on Su Fong's arms moved. There was no need to sense it. The primordial purple Chi here was attracting the purple Chi Dharma spirit. It kept buzzing, but its movement was suppressed. What shocked Su Fong even more was that the Fire Cloud Emperor physique also had a strong reaction. It had the aura of a deviant flame. There was actually a deviant flame seed hidden in this volcano. Chapter 1176. Su Fong used the life-shortening technique and the power of great perfection. He could clearly sense the aura of a strange flame in the volcano. However, the lava in the mountain was tumbling, and the strange flame aura was somewhat erratic. It was difficult to see the power of great perfection. There was a strange flame in the Gate of Myriad Scrolls. Su Fong was excited, but his expression didn't change. He pretended to chat with Mo Beifan as if nothing had happened and got a lot of information from him. 1,000,000 years ago, a star material fell from the outside of this immortal realm into the desolate star realm. It contained a treasure of heaven and earth, the Thousand Illusions Starfire. This strange flame was of a higher level than the heavenly light strange flame. It could change into various forms and was very difficult to capture. The appearance of the Thousand Illusions Starfire had caused many powerful forces to fight for it. The highly intelligent strange fire had sensed the danger ahead of time and had split itself into many pieces, spreading all over the meteorites. The peerless experts of the Gate of Myriad Scrolls directly cut off a piece of land where the strange fire pieces were hidden and moved them to the Gate of Myriad Scrolls, making it the sect's refining field. After 1,000,000 years of recuperation, the Thousand Illusions Starfire fragment in the Gate of Myriad Scrolls recovered a lot. It was just that this strange flame was ever-changing. It could turn into lava, it could turn into an ethereal fiery shadow, and it could even distort the fiery light to set up an illusion. Even a powerful figure like the Great Elder could not capture it. The only way to capture it was to completely destroy the entire weapon refining training hall. That would not be worth it. Su Fong had a headache. Even the Great Elders couldn't do anything to the Thousand Illusions starfire. He couldn't think of any good ideas now. Mo Beifan said mysteriously, "The Thousand Illusions starfire of the Gate of Myriad Scrolls is only a seed flame. I heard that the Huiyin Shinrikyo obtained most of the strange flames. That's the main flame. It is also because of the Thousand Illusions star fire essence body that the fire overflowing divine sun sect is like a tiger that has grown wings when it cultivates fire attribute divine abilities, becoming a great power." Huiyin Shinrikyo Thousand Illusions star fire Su Fong's heart raced. If he could fuse with the Thousand Illusions star fire essence, his fire cloud imperial physique would reach an unimaginable level. Su Fong made up his mind. The matter of the deviant flame needs to be discussed at length. Let's not think about it for now. Let's absorb the great fertility purple gas in the cauldron first. Whoosh! Mo Beifan brought Su Fong to the top of the mountain. A disciple who was in charge of guarding stepped forward and cupped his fists. "Greetings, Elder Mo." He was the #1 disciple of the weapon refining dojo and was highly regarded by the Great Elder. Mo Beifan was only an elder in charge of miscellaneous affairs. Mo Beifan was not angry. Huangfu Shaoying is the focus of the sect's higher-ups. If something happens to him in the sect, you, Ning Zishuan, won't be able to escape the sect's anger. Fear appeared on Ning Zishuan's face. But how could he swallow the fact that his brother had become a cripple? Su Fong sneered inwardly. He secretly activated his purple qi law spirit to absorb the great fertility purple qi floating in the air. Mo Beifan said, "Huangfu Shaoying wants to go to the 3rd level to refine. Ning Zishuan, get out of the way." Different from the constellation of 9 Heavens treasured weapon refining dojo, the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door had built many refining cave dwellings inside the volcano for refiners to use the lava to refine. They were divided into upper, middle, and lower levels. The lower the level, the better the refining environment. Ning Zishuan's disdainful gaze swept over Su Fong. "I'm refining a high-grade Dao item right now, so I can't be disturbed. The lower-level refining cave dwelling is occupied by me." Mo Beifan frowned. "The middle-level refining cave is fine, right?" Ning Zishuan said indifferently. "The middle-level refining cave is occupied by all the genius disciples from the constellation of 9 Heavens treasured weapon mystic realm." Mu Shual and the other disciples from the constellation of 9 Heavens were smug and looked at Su Fong mockingly. Mo Beifan suppressed his anger and said to Su Fong, "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Huangfu to stay in the upper-level refining cave." Su Fong was anxious to absorb the great fertility purple qi. It did not matter which level it was. However, just as he was about to agree, Ning Zishuan suddenly said, "The weapon refining dojo is preparing to test all the disciples. The upper-level refining cave is also full." Mo Beifan was furious. The dojo is going to test all the disciples. As an elder, how can I not know? Elder Mo is only in charge of the chores. Do we need to discuss the internal affairs of the dojo with you? Mo Beifan said disdainfully. Mo Beifan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Su Fong was about to speak when Huangfu Ju suddenly said, "Huangfu Shaoying, you offended senior brother Ning Zishuan and still want to enter the dojo to refine weapons. Why don't you get lost? You're just a dog raised by our Huangfu family. You actually pretended to be a refining genius and came to the Clear Skies 1,000 Scroll Door to make a fool of yourself." The disciples laughed wantonly and were very proud. In the constellation of 9 Heavens treasured weapon dojo, Huangfu Ju was ordered by Huangfu Duan to target Su Fong and repeatedly tried to kill Su Fong. Who knew that during the last joint training of the four factions, Huang Fu Duan's whereabouts were unknown? It was most likely that he had died. However, because Su Fong had handed over the ethereal true enlightenment and married Fairy Xuanxin, he had suddenly become the favorite of the two factions. His status was much higher than Huang Fu Ju's by a large margin. This made Huang Fu Ju very jealous. Now that Huang Fu Ju had stood up, it was not only to belittle Su Fong, but also to curry favor with Ning Zishuan. You're going too far. Su Fong's gaze was cold, like lightning cutting through the night sky. If I don't want to be bullied, then I have to make everyone fear me. Luo Zai suddenly said, "That's right. If you want to become strong, you have to be ruthless, decisive, and domineering. You have to cut off all the obstacles in front of you. Let everyone know of you and fear you. When your name is mentioned, everyone will tremble." Su Fong sternly said, "Huang Fu Ju, in the treasured artifact's secret realm, you plotted against me time and time again. Because I came from the Huang Fu training hall, I always tolerated you. Today, in the clear skies 10,000 scrolls gate, you humiliated me in front of everyone. Do you really think that I, Huang Fu Shaoying, am an ant that you can bully as you please?" Huang Fu Ju was very disdainful. "What I said was the truth, wasn't it? I have the status of a special disciple of the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear skies 10,000 scrolls gate, and I am greatly valued by the higher-ups. Who do you think you are? You dare to ignore the death penalty of those two great sects?" Su Fong was obviously not speaking nonsense. He wanted to have a good reason to attack. He was full of righteousness as he attacked Huang Fu Ju. "You dare to commit murder in my territory? You're courting death." Ning Zishuan released a fire-type divine aura, wanting to shackle Su Fong. Who knew whoosh? Su Fong's footsteps left behind traces of flames as he nimbly broke free of the divine aura shackles. He punched towards Huang Fu Ju. Mo Beifan stood in front of Ning Zishuan and stopped him. "Ning Zishuan, this is a matter between the inner disciples of the constellation of 9 heavens. It's best if you don't interfere. Then I'll just watch from the sidelines and watch how this Huang Fu Shaoying dies." Ning Zishuan restrained his aura, but secretly sent a voice transmission to Huang Fu Ju. "Brother Huang Fu, if you can kill this person, I'm willing to give you a supreme-grade Dao artifact." A supreme-grade Dao artifact. Huang Fu Ju's heart pounded wildly. To him, a supreme-grade Dao artifact was very tempting. Moreover, he had long wanted to kill Su Fong. "I, Huang Fu Ju, could trample you under my feet in the past, and I can do the same now. Supreme extreme Dao nebula art, heaven and earth suppression." Huang Fu Ju laughed sinisterly as he condensed his Dharma insignia. Suddenly, a shocking starlight aura surged like a nebula in front of him. It surged as if it had peeled off this space and covered Su Fong's head. "This move again. I don't even need to use a powerful ability to kill you, Huang Fu Ju." Su Fong sneered in his heart. He could even shake a 9th Dao realm expert like Lin Changxian. So why would he care about Huang Fu Ju? Huang Fu Ju's cultivation was at the peak of the 9th Dao realm of the profound immortal realm. Although he was considered an expert in the treasure artifact's secret realm, compared to Lin Changxian, the difference was like heaven and earth. Su Fong smashed out with his fist, and his attack transformed into a fist of starlight that exploded with an imposing aura that tore apart the shackles of Huang Fu Ju's divine might. He was like a meteor that tore through the sky, and his speed suddenly sped up by a few times as he swiftly charged toward Huang Fu Ju. Star Origin Void Fist. The complacent expression on Huang Fu Ju's face suddenly froze, and then it turned into disbelief. The disciple of Huang Fu Dojo that he bullied in the past wasn't even a heavenly immortal, but now he had become a 4th Dao realm expert. Moreover, this punch made Huang Fu Ju have a premonition of being killed. Rumble. Huang Fu Ju had just condensed his aura defense, but was shattered by Su Fong's punch. The huge force sent his body flying out, and he fiercely crashed into a huge cauldron behind him. With a loud bang, Huang Fu Ju was seriously injured and fainted. Instant kill. The spacious abode instantly went deathly silent, and numerous gazes that were filled with shock and surprise converged on his Su Fong. Chapter 1177. Whoosh! Under everyone's gaze, Su Fong arrived in front of Huang Fuju and slapped his palm on a Huang Fuju's dantian. A bloody golden core flew out and was sucked into Su Fong's palm. With Huang Fuju's cultivation, his golden core was not very useful to Su Fong's cultivation. However, those small commanders and slaves could use it. No matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. It could not be wasted. Last time, when he destroyed Ning Zuchuan's golden core, Su Fong felt heartache for a few days. Su Fong's courage and ruthlessness made everyone tremble in fear. Even against a fellow disciple, you are so ruthless. Huang Fu Shaoying, you are really domineering. Mu Shuo stood out and said with a cold tone, Mu Su, I'm afraid you won't stand out. Su Fong's heart was filled with killing intent. In the past, he and Mu Su were in a life and death situation. He had long wanted to get rid of him, but could not find a chance. Now that he jumped out, it was just right. However, his face was as calm as an ancient well. What? Does senior brother Mu Su still plan to teach me like before? I don't dare to teach you. I just can't stand your smug look. If I don't teach you a lesson, you will really think you're someone. Mu Su sneered with disdain, his eyes filled with malevolence. Mu Su cupped his fist towards Qin Ke and Yuan Yifeng and said loudly, Huang Fu Shaoying is arrogant and despotic. He wantonly bullied fellow disciples. I, Mu Su, will seek justice for Huang Fuju. Senior brothers, please be witnesses. Qin Kuei's eyebrows furrowed. He did not have any grudges with Su Fong. Of course, he did not want to get involved in the conflict between the two. Huang Fu Shaoying's talent in artifact forging and cultivation speed are both extremely shocking. Furthermore, he even offered up the ethereal true insight, so he was highly valued by the upper echelons. Huang Fuju's death was also in vain. Junior brother Yuan, if you have any resentment, you should endure it. After all, this is the clear sky's myriad scroll door. It would not be good if things get out of hand. Yuan Yifeng looked like he was trying to mediate, but in reality, he was trying to sow discord. Senior brother Yuan, don't worry. I will compete with him in controlling the fire divine aura. I will not hurt him. Mu Su smiled. Looking at Su, Mu Su challenged him. Controlling the fire divine aura and condensing the heaven and earth Dao palace of a fire Dao artifact. This is the most basic ability of a blacksmith. You dare to compete with me? In the past, in the treasure secret land of Star Palace, Mu Su had used the same method to almost burn Su Fong to death. Su Fong still remembered it vividly. How many tens is it? Is is less than 100 years. Is less, is. Dao, S of Dao. Of his. Of S Dao. Him. Dao. S. Ning Zuchuan suddenly spoke. If you beat Mu Su, you could go anywhere you want in the armament training hall. I will also give you a supreme gray Dao artifact. Supreme gray Dao artifact. Su Fong's eyes lit up, but he was sneering in his heart. He was looking for a chance to kill Mu Su. His purpose of coming here was to absorb the great pregnant purple gas. As for the supreme gray Dao artifact, he didn't care about it. Then I will compete with senior brother Mu Su. Su Fong hesitated for a while and spoke reluctantly. Very well. Mu Su grinned. Ning Zuchuan and Yuan Yifeng looked proud. Although Mu Su's blacksmithing level wasn't as good as Qin Kuei and Yuan Yifeng, he was still a genius disciple in Star Palace's treasure training hall. His blacksmithing ability was close to that of a master. His control over the fire divine aura was at a shocking level. Even if Huang Fu Shaoying's blacksmithing talent was heaven-defying, he had only learned blacksmithing for less than 100 years. Competing with Mu Su's control over the fire divine aura, wasn't he courting death? When the time came, Mu Su only needed to be careless, and he could easily burn Su Fong to ashes. Mu Su and Su Fong stood 10 zhang apart and sensed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around them. Junior brother Mu Su, Huang Fu Shaoying, let's begin. Yuan Yifeng spoke, and the competition began. Swoosh! Su Fong released the fire divine aura and control over the fire divine aura together with his perfection stage ability. He could sense the spiritual energy of heaven and earth within a radius of 40 miles. Such a large range was far beyond Musu's. Extracting essence from heaven and earth, the fire divine aura here was extremely abundant. Su Fong secretly performed the illusory fire cloud. With his magic power and primordial spirit, he started to control the surrounding void and absorb the spiritual energy within a radius of 4 miles. Earth-shattering cries, this Huangfu Shaoying is only at the mystic immortal fourth Dao realm. How could he have such a terrifying ability to control the spiritual energy of heaven and earth? Everyone was shocked. Musu also sensed that Su Fong's control over spiritual energy was far greater than his own. He was shocked and surprised. He clenched his teeth and reached out to grab the air. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth that was attracted by Musu transformed into a red Xianguang that surged and exploded. In an instant, it turned into a burning cloud of fire and actually condensed above his head out of thin air. Next, Musu formed a seal with his hands. It turned into a series of seals that enveloped the cloud of fire above his head. Under his control, the flame seals drilled into the cloud of fire. Through a large number of complicated hand seals, the flames began to slowly extend to both sides, gradually revealing a 10-zhang long sword shape that was burning fiercely. Su Fong's seal formation speed was half a beat slower than Musu's. Moreover, the flame sword he condensed was only a meter long. However, it was extremely condensed, as if it was real. Dying, Mu Shuo let out a thunderous shout. The sword-shaped flame emitted a shocking aura as it fiercely slashed towards Su Fong. He actually wanted to kill Su Fong with one strike. Yuan Yifeng laughed sinisterly. Just as Mo Beifan was about to release his aura to save Su Fong, Ning Zishuan charged out from the side. His fire divine art pressed down on Mo Beifan. He didn't really want to attack Mo Beifan. Instead, he wanted to stop him for a moment and create a chance for Mu Su to kill Su Fong. Do you really think that I, Su Fong, am an idiot and don't know that you're going to use the same trick again? Su Fong's eyes revealed killing intent. He used the ethereal true scripture, and the flame sword in his hand instantly became real. It was like a genuine Tao artifact. The ethereal true scripture became real. Chi! The crimson-red sword flew out of his hand and emitted a scorching aura. It clashed with Mu Su's flaming sword formed by his fire god art. Boom! The huge flame sword was torn open and couldn't withstand a single blow. Su Fong's scarlet sword wasn't affected at all. Mu Su was caught off guard and was struck in the head by the sword. He exploded like a watermelon, and the sword shot into the cave behind him before dispersing. Mu Su was actually killed by Huangfu Shaoyi. How is this possible? Everyone in the cave was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Su Fong and Wei Ran stood there, their entire body emitting a dense domineering aura, causing everyone to feel reverence and even fear. Yuan Yifeng came back to his senses and roared furiously. Huangfu Shaoying, how dare you? Qin Kuei coughed heavily and spoke to stop Yuan Yifeng. Junior Marshal Brother Mu Su was fighting with Huangfu Shaoying and accidentally died. You can't blame others. Yuan Yifeng sent a message with his essence spirit. Senior Marshal Brother Qin Kuei, Mu Su is a high-level disciple of the Treasure Secret Realm. Are you going to watch him get killed? Qin Kuei coldly replied. Junior Marshal Brother Yuan wants to stand up for a dead man. Don't tell me you still don't understand that this Huangfu Shaoying is now highly regarded by the higher-ups. His status has already surpassed ours. Moreover, looking at his method of controlling the fire attribute divine might, his achievements in artifact refining in the future would be beyond our reach. If Junior Marshal Brother Yuan wants to make such a strong enemy, I will not oppose it. Yuan Yifeng's complexion changed several times before he finally put on a smile and cupped his fists towards Su Fong. Since it was a competition, it was inevitable that there would be mistakes. Junior Marshal Brother Mu Su dying here was also an accident. Junior martial brother Huangfu's method is truly admirable. Let's get closer to each other in the future. Fence sitter Su Fong sneered in his heart and put Mu Su's body into the crucible transformation realm, turning it into nutrients for the cultivation of the junior commanders and slaves. Huangfu Ju is a waste, but I never thought that this Mu Su would also be a waste. Ning Zishuan's heart was filled with anger. He wanted to spit out fire, but he had no choice but to admit his loss. He threw a best-quality Dao artifact to Su Fong and then unwillingly left with the disciples of the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door. Although Su Fong did not care about the best-quality Dao artifact, he still accepted it without any hesitation. Qin Kuei and Yuan Yifang's attitude towards Su Fong also took a 180-degree turn. After a while, they also left the artifact crafting Dao Hall. I want to refine a weapon here. Elder Imo does not need to accompany me anymore. Su Fong sent Imo Beifan away and then began to unscrupulously absorb the great pregnant spiritual qi. The purple qi law spirit thoroughly boiled, and Su Fong's entire body was like a magnet. The great pregnant purple qi in the Immortal's cave space rushed towards his arms. When the scattered great pregnant purple qi in the Immortal's cave was almost completely absorbed, Su Fong began to absorb the raging great pregnant purple qi in the weapon cauldron. Such dense great pregnant purple qi. The artifact crafting Dao Hall of the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door is simply my blessed land. Su Fong was overjoyed. Today he had gotten rid of Huangfu Ju and Mu Su, these two old enemies. He had also absorbed such a shocking amount of great pregnant purple qi. If the artifact crafting Dao Hall was not his blessed land, then what was it? The purple qi law spirit could gather luck, control great luck, and absorb the most mysterious luck in the world. It could also help increase one's ability to refine weapons and increase one's ability to control weapons. The artifact crafting Dao Hall of the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door had sealed the great pregnant purple qi for countless years. To what extent would the purple qi law spirit fuse with it? Su Fong's heart was burning. Just like this, Su Fong went to the artifact crafting Dao Hall every few days. He used half a month's time to absorb all the great pregnant purple qi in the weapon cauldron of the Immortal's cave's upper level, including the great pregnant purple qi in the Immortal's cave space. After absorbing so much great pregnant purple qi, the purple qi law spirit had completely fused with his left arm. Like his right arm, his left arm would eventually possess the power of the purple qi law spirit. During the process of fusion, the purple qi law spirit's power and the great pregnant purple qi's power were also quietly fusing with Su Fong's body. This allowed his body to possess two great powers, which also allowed his body to transform, as well as the matter and power related to his body. While absorbing the purple qi law spirit, Su Fong did not forget to cultivate. He also used the Heavenly Cauldron of Creation to upgrade the quality of the Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda, Flaming Cloud's Spiritual Gourd, Starry Daylight Sword, and other magic weapons. Refining weapons was also a part of Su Fong's cultivation. He came to a cave in the middle of the artifact crafting Dao Hall and prepared to refine a mid-grade magic weapon. Moreover, it was a peak mid-grade magic weapon. The complete fusion of his arms with the purple qi law spirit greatly boosted his confidence. Some disciples of the artifact crafting Dao Hall from the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls Gate could not believe it after learning about Su Fong's plan. When the news spread, it caused a stir in the artifact crafting Dao Hall. Some mocked him, while others were filled with anticipation. When he received this news, Ning Zishuan, who was tasting tea with Gu Huajun, snorted disdainfully. It's already extremely difficult for a mysterious immortal realm cultivator to refine a mid-grade Dao artifact. Refining a peak mid-grade Dao artifact is unprecedented. This Huangfu Shaoying is simply boundlessly arrogant. Gu Huajun said, "Brother Ning, are you just going to watch him continue to be arrogant in the artifact crafting Dao Hall?" Two flames burned in Ning Zishuan's eyes. His voice was filled with killing intent. How can I not take revenge for crippling Ning Zechuan's Jindan? I'll let him be arrogant for a few days. I already have a plan. After a few days, I'll get rid of him without leaving a trace. Chapter 1178. Crucible Transformation World. Crash. Su Fang's fleshly body shattered and instantly collapsed, turning into the Yellow Spring's sea of blood. With the improvement of his cultivation, the Yellow Spring Blood Sea now covered an area of more than 800 feet. The sea of blood tumbled, magnificent and extremely shocking. Swish, swish. More than a dozen high-grade yin-yang immortal sky pills and a large number of resources were refined by the Crucible Transformation World. After refining and removing impurities, they turned into wisps of spiritual rain and dripped into the Blood Sea. Su Fang urged the reincarnation secret art to form a blood vortex and absorb them all. The alchemy masters under Su Fang could now use the best quality pill cauldrons to refine high-grade yin-yang immortal sky pills. Not only could they provide for Su Fang's cultivation, but they could also meet the needs of the big goblin and slaves in the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's bottle. As a result, Su Fang's overall strength improved a lot. Even the great monk Shangde, the Ghost Dao's 5 freaks, and more than a dozen abnormally powerful experts, with the support of Su Fang's almost inexhaustible resources, their strength was also improving. Although it was not very fast, it was much faster than their previous cultivation. Therefore, their sense of belonging to Su Fang became stronger. Blood transformation, true, body black, lotus true, body great perfection, ability various abilities were cultivated together with the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, causing the power of the body, true body, and Tao body to fuse. The Yellow Spring Samsara Sword was also urged by Su Fang to cultivate and fuse with the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. Su Fang could not fuse with the Good Fortune Big Dipper Cauldron, but the Yellow Spring Samsara Sword could. In the future, it would be Su Fang's most important magic weapon, so he always took it out for cultivation. A high-grade medicinal pill was thrown into the Blood Sea. The Yellow Spring Blood Sea, which had swallowed the medicinal pill, boiled a few times. Without deliberately absorbing it, the medicinal pill was quickly diluted by the Blood Sea and then fused. This was the powerful devouring ability of the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea. If one were to consume a top-grade pill in their physical form, it would take a very long time to refine the medicinal efficacy. However, Su Fang could do it in less than a breath in his Yellow Spring's Blood Sea state. Su Fang, who was in a state of cultivation, once again sighed at the wonders of the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. The Yellow Spring's Blood Sea is a blood art that cultivates the physical body, and ghouls are formed from blood ghosts. If we let ghouls cultivate the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea, or even the reincarnation arts. Thinking of this, Su Fang immediately asked Law. Law was silent for a while, then slowly said, "Blood ghosts were originally refined by human cultivators using evil methods, and then they fused with you, mutating into ghouls on the basis of the power of great perfection. The Yellow Spring's Blood Sea is a physical body cultivation method. Logically speaking, ghouls can cultivate it, but there is no precedent for this. No one knows what kind of monster ghouls will become after cultivating the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea. Since ghouls devoured ghouls, didn't they turn into monsters?" Su Fang chuckled, looking forward to it. Ghouls can release poison and can also devour all kinds of poison. How powerful would ghouls who cultivated the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea and the Yellow Spring's reincarnation arts be? At this time, the Blood Sea that Su Fang transformed into suddenly surged. The blood water quickly turned into a physical body and flew out of the Crucible Transformation realm. As soon as he appeared in the cave house, his body emitted a burst of tribulation chi. It turned out that after swallowing a top-grade medicinal pill, one had to step from a mystic immortal realm to the mystic immortal realm. A mystic immortal realm cultivator's advancement was very slow. Su Fang was able to advance 2 small realms in less than 10 years because of the mystic hidden heavens top-grade medicinal pills. Moreover, he also had the yin-yang Dao wheel, the power of reincarnation, and the ability of the Dao physique, so his cultivation speed was naturally astonishing. The shocking tribulation fire burned fiercely on Su Fang's body, and a mysterious purple qi lingered around him. His physical body kept shattering, and the impurities seeped out, emitting a foul smell. When the tribulation fire completely disappeared, a burst of qi rushed out from Su Fang's body. Mystic immortal realm, 5 Dao realm at the same time. His physical ability transformed, and his perception covered more than 50 miles. The purple qi spirit completely merged with his arms, and showed signs of extending to his torso. The yin-yang Dao wheel formed by the 22 yang meridians became deeper and more mysterious. The 5 layers of starlight around the world fragment became more vast. His divine aperture also expanded a lot, and the sea of magic power surged like waves. His body was full of 5 intertwined, astonishing qi, which turned into armor. There's also demon qi, monarch qi, demon qi, and devil qi. I advanced again. Su Fang was very excited. Ever since he came to the great world, Su Fang had always been stepped on by others. He had to be cautious, and this made him deeply understand the cruelty of the immortal world. If he wanted to establish a foothold, he had to be strong. This time, his cultivation realm had increased, and his abilities in all aspects had also increased. This made Su Fang very confident, and he was very happy. Returning to the crucible transformation realm, Su Fang merged with many magic treasures again. At the same time, he summoned the ghoul, condensed an essence soul imprint, and sent the Yellow Spring Blood Sea and Yellow Spring Reincarnation Art into the ghoul's mind, letting it try to cultivate. While Su Fang was cultivating in seclusion, the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door started to get busy. They were preparing for the grand wedding ceremony, which would gather the 8 forces and experts from all over the world. How could the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door not pay attention to this? However, these things had nothing to do with Su Fang. Ever since he came to the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door, he had not even seen his dual cultivation partner, Fairy Xuanxin. He could not help but feel a little strange. However, Su Fang was not very dissatisfied. It was best if they did not meet. He needed time to digest the Yellow Spring Heavenly Emperor's inheritance and quickly improve his strength. If he really spent all his time with outsiders, he would inevitably expose a lot of his secrets. On this day, Outyin Changhen came to Su Fang's cave residence. "Senior Outyin, why are you free today?" Su Fang cupped his fists and bowed. Outyin Changhen escorted Su Fang to the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door, representing the constellation of 9 heavens to discuss the marriage alliance. He was very busy all day, and that was why Su Fang asked him this question. The wedding ceremony is approaching, and the higher-ups of the Star Palace will continue to come. I am also relieved. Outyin Changhen was very casual, treating Su Fang like a junior. After chatting for a while, Outyin Changhen suddenly asked, "Did you kill Huangfu Ju and Mu Su a while ago?" In the constellation of 9 heavens, the 2 of them took advantage of the situation and stepped on my head. They even tried to murder me several times, wanting to take my life. I have always endured. This time, when I came to the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door, the 2 of them did not know how to restrain themselves. They provoked me again and again, wanting to kill me. I had no choice but to kill them. Su Fang's expression was calm. He already knew that the sect would ask about this matter, so he was not afraid. When it's time to be patient, he can't be patient. When it's time to take action, he is ruthless and decisive. My judgment back then was not wrong. This person is definitely not an ordinary person. Now, he has already revealed his outstanding talent. Outyin Changhen sighed in his heart. With your current status, special disciples are nothing in front of you. If you kill Huangfu Ju and Mu Su, then just kill them. The sect will not hold you accountable. However, the 2 of them have powerful background behind them. You have to be careful in the future. Outyin Changhen warned a few more times, then left embarrassedly. If it was in the past, killing Huangfu Ju and Mu Su would definitely cause a huge uproar. But now it's all calm. In the end, it's all because of one word: strength. Su Fang was left alone in the cave. After a moment of silence, he smiled brightly and the conviction in his heart became even firmer. I've spent quite a bit of time cultivating this time. It's been a long time since I went to the Equipment Refinement Hall. Not only could he absorb primordial violet chi at the Equipment Refinement Hall to strengthen his violet chi dharma spirit, but at the same time, in order to raise his level of equipment refinement, he could refine the 5 runes he had taken from Night Demon into 1. As a result, his primordial spirit would become incomparably powerful and become one of Su Feng's trump cards. Su Feng left the cave and arrived at the Equipment Refinement Hall of the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door. He's Huangfu Shaoying, who's preparing to marry Fairy Xuanxin. How could a mere profound immortal be worthy of the number 1 fairy of our Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door? I heard he's even preparing to refine a mid-grade Dao artifact. He's surely bragging and flattering himself. All along the way, he encountered various disciples of the Equipment Refinement Hall, and all sorts of ridicule towards Su Feng were clearly heard by Su Feng, who was at the perfection stage. However, Su Feng acted as if he didn't hear them and was extremely indifferent. A cultivator must have a firm Dao heart in order to be able to walk higher and further on the path of cultivation. If even the gossip of others caused a fluctuation in one's Dao heart and affected one's state of mind, then one would definitely not be able to walk far on the path of cultivation. The primordial violet chi in the Equipment Refinement Hall's upper level had already been completely absorbed by Su Feng. He headed straight for the Equipment Refinement Hall's middle level. All along the way, he encountered many disciples of the Equipment Refinement Hall. Fortunately, no one stopped him. Obviously, the ruthless method he used to annihilate Huangfu Ju and Mu Su had fiercely intimidated these people. When he arrived at the largest equipment cave in the middle level, those disciples who were refining artifacts saw Su Feng. They were like ferocious beasts and kept a respectful distance from him, which made things convenient for Su Feng. Under the pretense of refining artifacts, Su Feng began to absorb the raging primordial violet chi in the equipment cauldron. Su Feng's palms were like the mouth of a monster as he absorbed the primordial violet chi, and it kept surging towards his arms. Huff! The primordial violet chi broke through his arms and entered his body, extending toward his chest and back. Comfortable. Su Feng was crazily absorbing the primordial violet chi, and he was overjoyed. In the span of 3 years, Su Feng had completely absorbed all the primordial violet chi in the middle level and bottom level equipment caves. The power of the violet chi, primordial violet chi, had already covered his upper body. Of course, other than his arms that were completely merged, the inner parts of his torso were not completely merged. He still needed a large amount of primordial violet chi. While absorbing the primordial violet chi, Su Feng was also refining middle-grade Dharma treasures. At the same time, he was also integrating the ethereal 10,000 Arts Dao. With the help of the ethereal primordial realm, he kept on cultivating. Soon, his cultivation base stabilized at the mystic immortal 5th Dao realm, and he was climbing towards a higher realm. At the same time, Su Feng also used his identity as a special disciple to enter the Sutra Library of the Gate of Clear Skies Equipment Refining Dojo. He wanted to read the manuals on refining artifacts and learn more about the art of refining artifacts. The manuals in the Sutra Library of the Gate of Clear Skies Equipment Refining Dojo were even more plentiful than the treasure artifact secret territory in the Astral Palace. Even if he were to select the more profound ones to read, it would take him at least 100 years to finish reading them all. But Su Feng used the Sky Demon Disintegration Seal and separated more than 100 yang immortal chi. It was equivalent to 100 disciples reading the manuals at the same time. His knowledge on refining artifacts was quickly accumulated, and in a short period of time, he was comparable to an artifact master. On this day, Ning Zishuan brought more than a dozen disciples to the Equipment Refining Dojo. Along the way, there were disciples bowing to him. It was very impressive. On the way to a cave in the middle of the Equipment Refining Dojo, Ning Zishuan suddenly stopped in front of it. His gaze landed on Su Feng, who was sitting cross-legged beside the largest cauldron in the cave. It seems that this artifact refining genius really wants to refine artifacts, Ning Zishuan said disdainfully. Who dares to call themselves a genius in front of senior brother Ning? A person fishing for fame. I really don't know why Fairy Xuanxin would agree to dual cultivate with him. The disciples of the equipment refining training hall behind him chimed in and mocked Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong suddenly stood up and grabbed a blazing flame from the cauldron. Then, a dazzling spiritual light rushed out from the cauldron. Su Fong reached out and grabbed it. The spiritual light flashed a few times and calmed down, revealing its original form. It was actually a peak middle-grade flying sword. He refined it. He actually refined a middle-grade Dao artifact. Moreover, it's a peak middle-grade Dao artifact. A mystic immortal realm cultivator refined a peak middle-grade Dao artifact in more than 3 years. This person's artifact refining is simply heaven-defying. No one can compare to him. The disciples in the cave exclaimed, and their eyes were filled with admiration and envy. Chapter 1179. A Xian immortal cultivator who had been learning how to refine artifacts for less than 100 years had used 3 years to refine a peak middle-grade Dao artifact. This was unheard of even in the immortal realm, let alone in the clear skies Thousand Scrolls sect. The disciples were all shocked, but Ning Zishuan said disdainfully, "Is that possible? Most likely, this Dao item was already half finished. There's only one last part left." This matter had alarmed the big shots of the weapon refining gate, and the Grand Elder had come personally. The Grand Elder's surname was Lan, and he had a high position in the clear sky Thousand Scrolls gate. He had personally inspected the Dharma treasure and confirmed that it was made by Su Fong himself. He praised Su Fong's forging talent and even said that Ning Zishuan, the #1 disciple of the weapon refining gate, was far inferior. Ning Zishuan's expression became very ugly, as if he had been slapped in the face. "Elder Lan, can I borrow the ancient cauldron at the bottom?" Su Fong saw that Elder Lan was in a good mood, so he took the opportunity to make a request. During these days in the weapon refining gate, Su Fong had already figured out the gate's foundation. He knew that there was a cave at the bottom of the gate, and there was a peak-grade cauldron that was close to a king-grade Dao item. Only a few elders in the gate could use it, who knew how many Dao items had been created from this cauldron, and they were all high-grade Dharma treasures. The amount of primordial violet chi it had accumulated was naturally shocking. It was even more than the total amount of Dharma treasures on the 3rd level. Su Fong also had a very important reason for borrowing the cauldron, and that was to combine the 5 seals into one. Once the 5 seals were combined, the second primordial spirit would be extremely powerful. Apart from immortal emperors, some peerless experts wouldn't be able to threaten his primordial spirit. Although Su Fong had already combined the 5 seals, he couldn't combine them. The main reason was that night demon seals were extremely tough, comparable to a peak gray Dao item. Ordinary cauldrons couldn't refine them at all. Although Su Fong had the King Grey Dao artifact, the Heavenly Creation Cauldron, and had fused with it, he could not activate it at all. He could only take a step back and see if the Peak Grade Ancient Cauldron could refine it. All of them, including Elder Blue, had dumbfounded looks on their faces as if they had seen a ghost. You're only at the mysterious immortal realm, yet you dream of utilizing an ancient cauldron that's at the peak of the top grade. An elder laughed with ridicule. He was Ning Zishuan's master, Elder Lin, and his status in the Equipment Refinement Dao Reserve was merely inferior to Elder Lan. Huangfu Xiaoying, although your talent is astonishing, your cultivation base is too low. That cauldron is not something you can control. Don't think about it anymore. Elder Blue also shook his head. Su Fong had no choice but to leave the weapon refining training hall. Buzz. Once Su Fong returned to the cave, some Dao words from the Heaven's secret life, shrinking art, suddenly appeared in his mind. The Dao words merged together miraculously, turning into 2 shadows of men that Su Fong was very familiar with. It's Lin Yihan, a peerless expert under Tranquility Emperor's command, and Yinemo, an expert from Tranquility Emperor's mansion. They have openly come to the clear sky Myriad Scroll Gate. They probably won't dare to forcibly seize the ethereal true scripture like last time. A few days later, the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique once again sensed the familiar auras of Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao. Luo's voice came from deep within his body. Su Fong, you're in great danger now. Su Fong nodded in agreement. There are still a few years before the marriage ceremony, and various factions have already come to the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door. Obviously, they're not just here to observe and congratulate, but also for the ethereal quintessence. The constellation of 9 heavens and the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door have formed an alliance, and the other factions do not dare to act rashly. I'll definitely become the target of their competition. Luo, Yu said, facing those powerful factions, your overall strength is still far from enough. Quickly combine the 5 marks into one and strengthen your second primordial spirit. This is your only hope. Su Fong's heart was burning with anxiety. Right now, the best way was to ask the upper echelons of the sect to come forward and borrow the ancient cauldron from the weapon refining training hall. However, that would cause a huge commotion, and it was not what Su Fong wanted. A few days later, Su Fong was cultivating in seclusion in his cave when he suddenly received Ning Zishuan's primordial spirit's intent. Junior Huangfu, Ning Zishuan requests an audience. Su Fong was very surprised, but he still walked out of his cave and crossed the sky to meet Ning Zishuan. Seeing Su Fong's distant appearance, Ning Zishuan was not angry. Instead, he politely cupped his fists and said, Junior Huangfu, I've offended you in the past. This time, I've come specially to apologize. Apologize? Su Fong was confused. What was this Ning Zishuan up to? Junior Huangfu, you've shown amazing talent in refining that day. Your future achievements will be limitless. Only then did I realize that I was a frog at the bottom of a well. I overestimated myself. If I continue to make enemies with Junior Huangfu, I'm afraid. Ning Zishuan said embarrassedly. Su Fong was half convinced and half doubtful. Ning Zishuan took out a token and waved it in front of Su Fong. In order to show my sincerity, I specially asked for this token from my master. It can open the ancient cauldron weapon cave once. I hope to use it to resolve the grievances between you and me. Junior Huangfu, please don't refuse it. Su Fong's heart was burning, but his face was cold and indifferent, seeing your brother Ning's sincerity. How can Huangfu, Xiaoying, dare not accept it? As for the previous things, of course, I'll write them off. Ning Zishuan laughed, chatted with Su Fong for a while, and then flew away. After passing through the enchantment of the dojo, Ning Zishuan's expression suddenly became cold. He took out a rune talisman and released his primordial spirit's intent. Brother Gu, the token has been sent out. Now we're just waiting for Huangfu Xiaoying to take the bait. Gu Huajun's voice came out from the rune talisman. Although I don't know why Huangfu Xiaoying wants to use the ancient cauldron, he must be determined to get it since he can mention it to Elder Lon in person. You gave him the token. How can he not take the bait? The ancient cauldron is not only a weapon cauldron for refining weapons, but also the array core of the seal to suppress the 1,000 illusion starfire. How can it be easily given to someone to use it? Brother Gu, you're so resourceful that you can get the token from Elder Lon. That's something that ordinary sect higher-ups can't get. It's a piece of cake. But on your side, are you well prepared? Brother Gu, don't worry. As long as Huangfu Xiaoying activates the ancient cauldron, the 1,000 illusion starfire will be released. At that time, the two of them transmitted their voices through the rune talisman. They were very proud, but they never thought that this conversation would be heard clearly by Su Fong through the power of great perfection. It turns out that the ancient cauldron is not only used to refine Dao weapons, but also used as the array core. 1,000 illusion starfire. It could improve the Fire Cloud Emperor physique to another level. Ancient cauldron. It could refine the rune marks and merge them into one. Su Fong was determined to get these two things. Su Fong sneered. Ning Zishuan, Gu Huajun, you thought that you had calculated everything. How could you have thought that you would help me in the end? A faint voice came from the depths of Luo's body. Let me remind you, don't underestimate the 1,000 illusion starfire. Su Fong was slightly surprised. Luo, you also know about the 1,000 illusion starfire. Strange fires are treasures of heaven and earth. How can they be easily obtained? Starfires come from beyond the heavens. Not only are they more powerful than strange fires like the skylight strange fire, but they're also more difficult to obtain. Strange fires all have some special abilities. The Thousand Illusions Starfire can use the light of the fire to change into thousands of forms. It's extremely strange. Luo, I know a little about this from the ancient books. What you know is just the surface. As far as I know, the Thousand Illusions Starfire is not only unpredictable, but can also control the primordial spirit of human cultivators unknowingly. It's impossible to guard against it. So powerful. Su Fong thought for a while and threw his worries to the back of his mind. He had to borrow the ancient cauldron to refine the imprint, and strange fires were necessary for cultivating the fire cloud emperor physique. Even if danger lurked everywhere, Su Fong would not turn back. Danger, hidden in danger, was often a huge opportunity. On this day, Su Fong left the cave and went through the array to the weapon refining hall. Junior brother Huang Fu. Seeing Su Fong, Ning Zishuan's eyes lit up and came to greet him. Under Ning Zishuan's lead, Su Fong came to the bottom of the volcano. Beside the cave where the ancient treasure artifact was located, there were boiling waves of lava and fire. It was not inferior to the silent flame plains. Whoosh, scorching heat waves rolled, almost suffocating people. The sound of the flames burning was soul-stirring. Ning Zishuan had to use his Dao artifact to release its aura in order to adapt to this environment. But Su Fong only used his fire attribute Divine Might and was unaffected by the heat. That surprised Ning Zishuan, but also made him jealous. Ning Zishuan took out a medallion and formed several hand seals. The medallion released a ray of white light that landed on the cave's door, and it opened. Behind the door was a giant refining cave. At the center of the cave was an artifact cauldron. It was 3 meters tall and seemed to be made of bronze. It gave off an ancient and incomparably domineering aura. Ancient treasure cauldron. Su Fong sensed a shocking amount of primordial violet qi from the cauldron's aura. He had no idea how many magic treasures had been born from this ancient cauldron. Junior brother Huang Fu, you've never seen a cauldron like this, right? Ning Zishuan was very proud. Su Fong smiled. His good fortune astral cauldron was of a much higher level than this ancient cauldron. Furthermore, he had refined a treasure like the Yellow Spring Great Emperor bottle. How could this ancient cauldron compare to it? Ning Zishuan brought Su Fong into the cave and suddenly said, Junior brother Huang Fu, you can focus on refining in the cave. If you need anything, just summon me with your Yuan spirit. Senior brother Ning, go ahead. If there's anything else, I'll trouble you. Su Fong cupped his fists courteously. Ning Zishuan left the cave and closed the door. Then he used his medallion to tightly seal the door. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. Huang Fu Shaoying, you crippled my brother's golden core. I'll take your life. You're a refining genius who's going to die young. Ning Zishuan's eyes burned with flames. Su Fong used his peak nascent soul power to see Ning Zishuan's every move. He couldn't help smiling. Ning Zishuan, you're the so-called #1 genius of the clear sky myriad scroll gate. But in my eyes, you're just a clown. I can transform into a sea of blood. How can a mere seal trap me? Just wait until I combine the 5 seals and subdue the 1,000 illusion star flame. Then I'll come out and settle things with you in Guhuajun. Purple Chi Dharma spirit, I'll let you eat your fill this time. Su Fong stretched out his hands. He didn't need to use the purple Chi Dharma spirit. His palms were like magnets, absorbing the surrounding great fertility violet Chi. After absorbing all the great fertility violet Chi in the cave, Su Fong turned his attention to the ancient cauldron. The rich and dense primordial purple Chi flowed into his body from his palms like water. In an instant, Su Fong's entire upper body was in a purple-colored state. It was as if a ball of purple flames had transformed into a ferocious beast, roaring back and forth. Comfortable. The purple Chi Dharma spirit extended further into his body. More and more meridians were fused by the purple Chi Dharma spirit. Unknowingly, the purple Chi Dharma spirit's ability and the great fertility violet Chi's ability were also fusing with Su Fong's body. In this way, his body had two great abilities. It could change his body, as well as the matter and power related to his body. The underworld samsara sword and the heavenly creation cauldron fused faster. The quality of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, flaming cloud, spiritual gourd, starry daylight sword, and other magic treasures in the heavenly creation cauldron also improved a lot. Chapter 1180. Inside the Big Dipper Cauldron. In a hazy world, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the starry daylight sword, and the flaming cloud spiritual gourd were floating in a mystical cloud formation. Pieces of origin stones were burned and melted by the Big Dipper Cauldron. They were turned into spiritual liquid and poured onto the three Dharma treasures. The three Dharma treasures were constantly evolving and improving in quality. The three Dharma treasures could be easily upgraded with Su Fang's cultivation progress. They had already reached the level of middle-grade doctrine artifacts. When Su Fang placed them in the Big Dipper Cauldron, their quality kept on improving. This time, Su Fang had absorbed a large amount of primordial purple gas. Finally, the three natal Dharma treasures underwent a drastic change. Buzz, the starry daylight sword, suddenly emitted bright starlight. Under the control of Su Fang's primordial spirit, it flew out of the Big Dipper Cauldron and turned into starlight and fell into Su Fang's hand. Su Fang activated the Astral Palace's genuine qi. The starry daylight sword turned into starry mist, star sand, and even aurora. It had turned into a real star state. And the starry daylight sword's qi was all the power of the world, which was unique to upper-grade doctrine artifacts. It had leveled up. Next was the flaming cloud spiritual gourd. There was a sea of fire inside it. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd was a spiritual item. It had merged with Su Fang's illusory fire cloud. It was a terrifying fire elemental Dharma treasure. It could also be used as a cauldron for crafting artifacts. Its function was extraordinary. Not long after, the Xianhuang Six Path Pagoda had also leveled up to upper-grade doctrine artifact. Its ability in space had a leap. Looking at the three Dharma treasures that had all leveled up to upper-grade doctrine artifacts, Su Fang was overjoyed. The abilities of the three Dharma treasures were secondary. What Su Fang valued the most was the natal divine power. Even the Void Dust Cauldron could not do that. That was why Su Fang had been working hard to improve the quality of the three Dharma treasures. In addition, the three Dharma treasures had been with Su Fang for a long time. They had deep feelings for Su Fang. It was hard for Su Fang to give them up. With the advancement of the three Dharma treasures, Su Fang's natal godly aura became even stronger. If he were to face a 9-Dao realm feather immortal like Lin Chongxian again, Su Fang could use his natal godly aura to kill him. He could even kill an ordinary elder of the transcending feather immortal realm. Su Fang was Dipper. On his Dipper. On Cauldron and Cauldron. Was familiar. Cauldron Dion, Cauldron. Was familiar. The purple Chi Dharma spirit was just that magical. Dion. On Dion spirit. On divine is Dion Cauldron on. Is spirit is Dion. Is on Dion's. On Esit. Dion it. Dion Su Fang had always believed in Dion Cauldron's words. The power of spirit was indeed amazing. But the third spirit was in the hands of the immortal emperor of the heavenly Tao immortal realm. It would be difficult to get it back. The enemy I will face is immortal Emperor Tianong. My current strength is far from enough. Dion Cauldron praised. Not bad. You have not been blinded by your temporary success. You know what your goal is. Su Fang's eyes were filled with determination. As long as I continue to work hard and improve, one day, I will defeat the immortal emperor and take back the third spirit. Phew! Su Fang let out a long breath. He calmed his excited heart and continued to absorb and fuse with great pregnant purple qi. 3 months passed. The great pregnant purple qi that had been accumulated in the cauldron for tens of thousands of years was absorbed by Su Fang. Unexpectedly, there was a burst of movement in his body. The 23rd Yang Meridian is about to be born. Su Fang's eyes shone with surprise. This movement came from the heaven and earth Tao palace formed by the 22 yang meridians. He checked the yin-yang Tao wheel. The 23rd meridian that was being attacked was burning with a shocking pure yang flame. It gathered all the yang qi in the yang meridians and attacked this meridian. Even the power of the world fragments yin-yang world flowed into this meridian. Today was really a joyous day. He had absorbed a large amount of great pregnant purple qi. His 3 yin-yang treasures had advanced, and now a yang meridian was born. First, he had unexpectedly obtained the recognition of the Xianming Lightning Archive. Then, he had successfully entered the Xian Immortal Realm from the Heavenly Immortal Realm. Now, he had a yang meridian. Cultivating a yang meridian required time, but there was also an opportunity to break the norm. The 23rd yang meridian had been accumulating for many years. Today, it had absorbed a large amount of great pregnant purple qi. Sizzle. Su Fong gathered all the energy in his body and attacked the meridian like a tide. The world fragment and the heaven and earth Tao palace's aura seemed to be absorbed by the 23rd meridian. Su Fong felt that his meridian was about to break. The flame reached its peak. The entire world suddenly became silent. A surge of energy was brewing. Qi. The meridian shook violently. A shocking pure yang xian guang swept from one end of the meridian to the other. It covered the entire heaven and earth Tao palace and then swept through the meridian. The 23rd meridian turned into a simple jade-like meridian. All the yang meridians moved automatically. The 23 yang meridians formed the yin-yang Tao wheel. Su Fong activated the yang qi in the yang meridian and poured it into the 23rd meridian. Finally, it poured into the world fragment. With the addition of a yang meridian, the yang qi underwent a quantitative and qualitative change. The speed of cultivating the 9 transformations increased significantly. When the yang meridian calmed down, Su Fong began to refine the runes. Swish! Swish! 5 black runes surged out of Su Fong's palm. One of the runes emitted a strong yang, immortal divine might. These 5 runes were refined by the Lord of the Dark World, Night Demon. They contain Night Demon's astonishing essence soul power. One of them had been refined into a second essence soul avatar by Su Fong. The essence soul was an astonishing power that could penetrate through time and space. It could penetrate formations, divine abilities, and even space. It was extremely powerful. Su Fong's second essence soul avatar refined from one rune could easily kill Huang Fuyanhai. If the 5 runes were combined, any expert below the Immortal Emperor level would not be able to threaten Su Fong's essence soul. It was extremely powerful and had many uses. Su Fong transmitted his voice, second essence soul. I want to use the ancient cauldron to refine all 5 runes. You have to fuse with the runes and master the supreme essence soul power of the 5 runes. Instantly, the same voice came from the runes. Okay, the original body will refine the runes. The fusion of the runes will be left to me. The runes were strange objects formed by the fusion of matter and nothingness essence soul. They could not be refined by matter alone. Just relying on the essence soul would not work either. They could only use both. Whoosh, 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 the 5 runes flew into the ancient cauldron. Then, he formed fire elemental seals and released a burst of pure yang primordial fire to control the cauldron fire. The pure yang primordial fire was the most domineering flame. It was superior to all the other primordial fires in the cauldron. In addition, the purple Qi Law spirit had a strong ability to control any magic treasure. Therefore, Su Fong only needed to release a little pure yang primordial fire to control all the primordial fires in the cauldron. Inside the cauldron, the 5 runes were wrapped in boiling flames. They were constantly burning and smelting. Although the ancient cauldron fire was extremely fierce, the strength of the runes was comparable to a supreme-grade magic treasure. It would take a long time for the 5 runes to be combined. He separated a yang immortal and controlled the ancient cauldron. He used the power of the cauldron to refine the runes. His original body sat on the ground and swallowed pills to cultivate. At the same time, he separated a part of his essence soul to be alert of any changes in the cauldron. Ning Zhexian set up the trap to make use of the 1,000 illusion star fire that was suppressed by the ancient cauldron. It must have done something to the runes. Even Luo said that the 1,000 illusion star fire was not to be underestimated. How could Su Fong not be careful? As time passed, Su Fong's strength and abilities were constantly changing. His cultivation was constantly approaching the peak of the 5 Dao realm. The Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda, Starry Daylight Sword, and Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd had just been upgraded. They continued to improve in the cauldron. All the junior commanders, Yao Immortals, Tung Ba, and Gul used Su Fong's shocking resources and a large number of high-grade Yin Yang Immortal Sky Pills to improve their cultivation at an astonishing speed. The one who improved the fastest was Green Feather King. Ever since he merged with the World Fragment, his cultivation speed had increased exponentially. His strength had reached a level where he could fight against ordinary feather immortals. Buzz, suddenly, there was movement in his body. He quickly separated a Yang Immortal and put it into the Yellow Spring Great Emperor bottle. It was Gul. Su Fong gave Gul the Yellow Spring Blood Sea to cultivate. He didn't expect that in just a few years, Gul would cultivate to the 3rd stage of the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, turning his body into blood water. Unlike the bloody water created by Su Fong's Yellow Springs Blood Sea, the bloody water created by the Ghoul Eater was nearly 30 meters in diameter. Moreover, it was pitch black and gave off sizzling sounds. It was clearly highly toxic and gave off an evil aura. The blood water rolled and turned into Ghoul's body. It looked ferocious and terrifying, like an evil demon god. Luo suddenly said, "Ghoul is a blood demon, so he can cultivate the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. And it seems that his cultivation speed is faster than yours." I also didn't expect Ghoul to master the Yellow Spring Blood Sea so quickly. In the future, his speed and ability to devour and create poison will definitely increase exponentially. What kind of powerful monster will this thing become in the future? I'm really looking forward to it. Even the almost omniscient Luo was so optimistic about Ghoul. Su Fong was also full of anticipation. Good things happened one after another, making him very happy. His eyes flashed with excitement. Boom! Suddenly, there was movement outside. Su Fong was startled, and then he felt a wave of heat sweep over him. His entire body, including his Yuan spirit, felt hot. The ancient cauldron that had been rooted in the ground was now floating in the air. Fortunately, the refining process had not been interrupted. On the ground, a hole as thick as a bowl appeared. Crimson flames spewed out from the hole and dyed the cave a fiery red, causing the temperature to become incomparably high. What's going on? Su Fong looked at the hole warily. Luo said, "In order to prevent the 1,000 illusion star fire from escaping, the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate set up a huge formation to seal it in a volcano. This is the core of the formation. With the ancient cauldron suppressing it, you can also use the 1,000 illusion star fire's power to refine magic treasures. That Ning Zishuan must have done something to the seal. When you activated the cauldron before, the core of the formation was destroyed. Didn't the 1,000 illusion starfire come out?" Su Fong was both shocked and excited. He immediately released the power of a great circle paragon, but he didn't expect that all he sensed was a sea of red flames. Luo Yu said, "Don't look for it. The 1,000 illusion starfire has already come out. Where is it?" "The 1,000 illusion star fire is everywhere in the cavern, on your body and inside your body. It's omnipresent." Chapter 1181. Law's words surprised Su Fongda. This 1,000 illusion star fire not only could not be sensed by the power of great perfection, but could also unknowingly penetrate everywhere with the light of the fire. It was simply very strange. "Law, how can I subdue this 1,000 illusion starfire?" Su Fong hurriedly asked. However, Law did not respond. Obviously, he did not want to calculate everything for Su Fong in advance. This was extremely detrimental to Su Fong's growth. No matter how powerful the 1,000 illusionary astral flame is, It is only a type of heavenly flame. I will definitely be able to subdue it with my own strength. Su Fong took a deep breath and maintained his composure to deal with the upcoming challenge. However, what Su Fong did not notice was that his heart had quietly become restless. His eyes had also turned fiery red and were constantly changing, as if there were two flames hidden in them. Suddenly, the scenery in the karst cave changed greatly and turned into the constellation of 9 heavens, where Huangfu Fei cultivated. Huangfu Fei was high above, overlooking Su Fong. Huangfu Xiaoying, you are just a dog slave by baby's snoring side. How dare you secretly betray me? I will not only break your dog legs, but also your 5 limbs. Huangfu Fei suddenly shot out a Xian Guang seal, which turned into a chain and drilled into Su Fong's body. In an instant, Su Fong felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and his whole body was frozen and could not move. Huangfu Fei stepped in front of Su Fong, his delicate face full of coldness. He held an ice sword in his hand and cut off Su Fong's legs one by one, then his arms, and finally waved the sword at Su Fong's lower body. The sharp pain and the terrible feeling of death enveloped Su Fong's body and mind. With a scream, everything went dark. Suddenly, the scene in front of him changed. Under a waterfall, Gu Huajun's face was filled with a sinister and evil smile. She laughed maniacally and walked step by step towards the naked Xuanxin fairy. Fairy Xuanxin cried out in despair. "Ghostface Rakshasa, save me!" Su Fong flew forward. Unexpectedly, Yin Senshin charged out from the side and pierced Su Fong's heart with his sword, which carried an astonishing destructive power. The destructive power quickly destroyed Su Fong's internal organs and body. Yin Senshin laughed sinisterly. "Ghoul-face Rakshasa, you are the Huangfu Xiaoying, also known as Su Fong. Do you think that I don't know? Hand over everything that belongs to the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor. Everything is mine. This world is mine." Following that, the scenes changed again and again. Su Fong's experiences were also different. Some were captured by Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao and tortured. Su Fong's father and relatives were also tortured by the experts of the Tranquility Emperor's residence. They interrogated Su Fong about the true ethereal insight. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong even stripped the purple Qi Dharma spirit from his body. One by one, Su Fong experienced incomparable pain and despair. He was in extreme pain, and his heart was like dead ashes. Unexpectedly, Su Fong suddenly opened his eyes. "Thousand illusion star fire. I have already experienced the illusion tribulation. How can the illusion you created defeat Su Fong's heavenly demon disintegration seal? Supreme primordial spirit sword Qi, break for me." With a thunderous roar, a vast expanse of primordial spirit sword Qi spurted out and condensed. The illusion that made Su Fong feel pain and despair was like the moon in the well. It was torn apart and shattered. The scene in front of him returned to normal. It was the karst cave, and everything was the same as before. Phew! Su Fong let out a long breath. The thousand illusion star fire was indeed powerful. Fortunately, he had been vigilant. Otherwise, he would have fallen into the illusion and been unable to extricate himself. However, compared to the first illusion tribulation, the thousand illusion star fire was much weaker. Moreover, Su Fong's primordial spirit was abnormally powerful at this time. It was not that difficult to see through its illusion. Then, Su Fong subdued the thousand illusion star fire and left the artifact cave. First, he killed Ning Zishuan, then Gu Huajun. During the wedding ceremony, Su Fong used his powerful strength to intimidate the 10 great young masters of the great immortal world. Then, he and Fairy Xuanxin had consummated their marriage. Everything seemed to be logical and natural. A thunderous roar came from the depths of his body. "Su Fong, wake up. Your mind is still affected by the thousand illusion star fire. You are still immersed in the illusion." However, how could Su Fong hear it? It was not Su Fong's fault that his Tao heart was not strong enough. The strange thing about the thousand illusion star fire was that it could invade a person's consciousness at a deep level unknowingly. When Su Fong saw through the illusion for the first time and firmly believed that he had broken free from the illusion, he fell into the second layer of the illusion created by the Thousand Illusion Starfire at the same time. Su Fong's consciousness was gradually controlled by the Thousand Illusion Starfire. His physical body had already appeared when the Thousand Illusion Starfire appeared. The moment the fire shone on his body, it seeped into his skin, flesh, and bones. Sizzle. His body was burned by the fire, and there was a terrifying, sizzling sound. His entire person was like a burning man. The fire around his body swayed, and the light and shadow changed constantly. It was very strange and strange. Su Fong's arms had already been cultivated into the fire cloud emperor physique, and they were easily fused by the Thousand Illusion Starfire. The flames continued to spread to Su Fong's head, chest, and back. These parts gradually fused with his arms and became a burning flame state. Unfortunately, this state did not belong to Su Fong at this time. The starfire burned to every corner of Su Fong's physical body, all the way to his dantian. Bai Ling was in grief and despair. He shouted loudly, "Brother, wake up, wake up!" Green Feather King roared, "Kid, what are you dreaming about? You will die if you don't wake up." The big goblin and experts in his body shouted in unison. The weapon spirits of the three life-bound magic treasures also sent a voice to Su Fong's primordial spirit. The star fire spread to the heaven and earth Tao palace in his body. The 23 yang meridians trembled, and the underworld reincarnation sword trembled. However, Su Fong's consciousness was lost, and he continued to be immersed in the illusion. He killed Huangfu Fei and Yin Sunshin. He crushed Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao. He defeated Tranquility Emperor and Immortal Emperor Tianong, and took back the third part of the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit. He cultivated the Underworld Blood Sea, 9 Yang, 9 transformations, Ethereal Truth, and Life Shrinking Technique. He swept across the Immortal Realm and achieved supreme hegemony. He was very happy. In Su Fong's divine aperture, the sea of magic power was rippling. The young immortal floated above the sea of magic power, and a ball of unpredictable fire wrapped around him. That fire was the instinctive consciousness of the Thousand Illusion Starfire. It slowly infiltrated and corroded Su Fong's consciousness. Once it completely fused, Su Fong would be completely controlled by the Thousand Illusion Starfire. His body would also be refined from the inside out, turning into a human-shaped flame. Swish! Swish! 3 figures appeared in the divine aperture above the sea of magic power. They were the weapon spirits of the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda, the Fire Cloud Spirit Gourd, and the Starry Daylight Sword. Seeing that their master was in danger, they directly attacked the Thousand Illusion Starfire. Boom! The 3 life-bound magic treasures clashed with the Thousand Illusion Starfire with a crazy aura. The collision caused the starfire and Su Fong's young immortal to shake violently. But the Thousand Illusion Starfire separated 3 flames and enveloped the 3 life-bound magic treasures. It wanted to refine the 3 life-bound magic treasures at the same time. You want to refine us with a mere deviant flame seed? The 3 life-bound magic treasures kept struggling. Obviously, they were not easy to control, but they could not cause much trouble for the Thousand Illusion Starfire. Sizzle. The Thousand Illusion Starfire gradually infiltrated Su Fong's young immortal. It wanted to completely fuse with Su Fong. Su Fong was in a life-or-death situation. Boom! Suddenly, a loud sound came from outside. Whoosh! A black Xianguang appeared in Su Fong's divine aperture. The Xianguang gave off a mysterious and strange aura. The sea of magic power seemed to have sensed it and surged violently. Thousand Illusion Starfire. A figure suddenly shot out of the black Xianguang and condensed into a lifelike Su Fong. It was Su Fong's second clone. After being burned by the ancient cauldron for a long time, the 5 imprints had already fused into one. The second clone had also completely refined the supreme primordial spirit energy in the 5 imprints. You want to fuse with me with a mere deviant flame seed? If I hadn't focused on refining the imprints, you wouldn't have had the chance, Su Fang's second primordial spirit said coldly. The luster from the black Xian Guang suddenly became like a black cloud. It felt like the entire divine aperture world had changed. A golden-robed Su Fang suddenly appeared in the black cloud. The second primordial spirit. Swoosh! A starlight sword shadow ruthlessly attacked the young immortal's thousand illusion starfire, creating a huge wave in the sea of magic power. Rip! The second primordial spirit that had refined one imprint could easily crush the primordial spirits of experts like Huangfu and Yunhai. Now that the 5 imprints had fused into one, how powerful was it? Just one strand of primordial spirit sword chi tore a hole in the thousand illusion starfire, revealing Su Fang's young immortal. Buzz! Buzz! In an instant, the second primordial spirit released a vast amount of primordial spirit sword chi. It quickly condensed and shot toward the starfire. Under the intense collision, waves of magic power surged. Whoosh! Whoosh! The thousand illusion starfire primordial spirit saw that the situation was not good. It turned into thousands of rays of light and filled the entire divine aperture. The second primordial spirit released an indescribable sword chi. A shocking power filled the entire divine aperture world like the sky. Then, it suddenly shrank, and the rays of light were compressed. Apparently, the thousand illusion starfire had sensed that the end was near. It did everything it could. Sometimes it turned into flames, sometimes it turned into fire, sometimes it turned into light, and sometimes it turned into light and shadow. However, it could not escape the power of the second primordial spirit, and was soon compressed into a ball. The second primordial spirit made a few hand seals, opened its mouth, and sucked the rolling flames into its mouth. Then, it easily refined them. As the consciousness of the thousand illusion starfire was swallowed by the second primordial spirit, the fire on Su Fang's body was gradually extinguished, and he regained his consciousness. What he had just experienced was still vivid in his mind. Su Fang was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. It was so clear, real, and terrifying. It was many times more terrifying than the illusion trials. Thank you, second primordial spirit. No need. I am you, and you are me. At this time, Law's voice came from the depths of his body. Su Fang, you were careless this time. If it weren't for the second primordial spirit, the consequences would have been unpredictable. Su Fang knows he was wrong. Su Fang felt ashamed. He had indeed underestimated the thousand illusion starfire. He did not expect it to be so strange. I didn't mean to remind you, because I wanted you to experience the dangers of the path of cultivation through this experience. If you were careless, you would be doomed eternally. This time, the second primordial spirit saved you. What about next time? Law's tone was very serious. Su Fang will always remember Senior's teachings. Su Fang clasped his hands and bowed deeply. The good luck made him let down his guard. The lesson of the thousand illusion starfire enlightened him and made him alert. Second primordial spirit, TSK, Su Fang. With such a powerful second primordial spirit, you finally have the strength to stand firm in this immortal domain. Law turned his attention to the second primordial spirit and praised. Feeling the terrifying aura of the second primordial spirit, Su Fang was surprised and happy. You refined all 5 imprints. Yes, at this time, my supreme primordial spirit power can kill the great elder. The second primordial spirit spat out a cold breath. Chapter 1182. The imprints were refined by Night Demon and possessed supreme primordial spirit power. One imprint was already incomparably powerful, 5 of them combined into one. Apart from a peerless expert like an immortal emperor, who could do anything to the second primordial spirit. The thousand illusion starfire was unlucky to have encountered the second primordial spirit successfully refining the 5 imprints. However, if it wasn't for the second primordial spirit refining the imprints, the thousand illusion starfire wouldn't have had the chance. Su Fang was very excited. His eyes flashed with an excited luster. At this moment, he didn't expect a wave of tribulation energy to suddenly explode from his body. How did I improve so quickly? This breakthrough came so suddenly that Su Fong was caught off guard. Luo chuckled from the depths of his body. Is it very sudden? This time, the 1,000 illusion star fire has seeped into your body. At this moment, every corner of your body is filled with its energy. How can you not break through? Su Fong was stunned after hearing this. It seemed like he had profited from a disaster this time. He didn't need to think about anything else and immediately focused on breaking through. He gathered his true qi and began to charge towards the peak of the 5 Tao realm. Whoosh! The tribulation fire turned into a huge furnace and enveloped Su Fong. It burned time and time again. His body trembled time and time again as he was attacked by the flames. The impurities in the placenta surged out and gave off a familiar stench. They turned into dust under the tribulation fire. Under the impact of wave after wave of impact, his meridians, bones, flesh, and blood were forcefully torn apart, causing his body to become stronger, more perfect, and more profound. A few days later, the tribulation fire slowly disappeared. His body welcomed a transformation. His meridians were reborn. His golden origin core and divine aperture were constantly changing. His primordial spirit also underwent a transformation. His original primordial spirit and second primordial spirit broke through the 5 Tao realm. 6 Tao realm. Su Fong's cultivation was far from over. Although the 1,000 illusion star fire has seeped into every corner of my body, it hasn't fully merged. There's still a large amount of energy left. It's just right to use it to cultivate the fire cloud emperor physique. First, he completely merged with the 1,000 illusion star fire. With the experience of merging the skylight flame and the nameless flame seed, Su Fong was familiar with the process. Su Fong sealed his body, turning it into a furnace. Using the 9 suns' 9 transformations, a vast amount of pure yang flames gushed out and crazily fused with the 1,000 illusion star fire. His arms, legs, flesh, blood, bones, chest, brain, and every corner of his body were burning fiercely. Under this kind of sealed burning, the life force, pure yang energy, and yin and yang energy of his body naturally and perfectly fused with the 1,000 illusion star fire. Pain, it was like being roasted in a furnace. This kind of pain was simply indescribable. Su Fong's entire body had turned blood red, and even his head had turned fiery red. His body exuded an astonishing might of flames, and he also possessed the unpredictable aura of the 1,000 illusion star fire. Little by little, Su Fong went from pain to numbness, and then to calmness. Finally, his heart was as calm as still water, as if he was enjoying the process of cultivation. Although the process of fusing with the 1,000 illusion star fire was very painful, it tempered Su Fong's Tao heart even more. Zith, like a piece of iron that was constantly being tempered, the impurities in the placenta surged out of his body and were burned away. It was unknown how long had passed. The movements in his body stopped, and the 1,000 illusion star fire was fused with Su Fong's body. Cultivate the illusory fire cloud. He began to activate the illusory fire cloud cultivation technique. The illusory fire cloud's divine might engulfed his entire body. Su Fong's quintessential qi and the 1,000 illusion star fire formed the yin-yang 1,000 illusion star fire. Under the illusory fire cloud cultivation technique, the flames turned into a fiery cloud and crazily surged into his shoulders, chest, back, and head. Soon, Su Fong's skin, head, and eyes turned scarlet, as if flames were sweeping through his body. The fiery cloud stayed on his arms, continued to extend to his shoulders, chest, back, and head. The pure yang quintessential fire burned fiercely in the yin-yang Tao wheel and the 23 yang meridians deep in his body. Another few days passed. The 1,000 illusion star fire in his body had completely fused. Su Fong activated the illusory fire cloud, and his upper body turned into a fiery cloud state. It didn't look shocking at all. His arms had completely turned into fiery clouds, but his chest, back, and head were still a little lacking. However, This was already extremely shocking. Along with the great improvement of his fire cloud imperial physique, his fire attribute divine abilities had improved by leaps and bounds, and even Crimson Blaze was left far behind by Su Fong. When Su Fong executed the illusory fire cloud at the Six Paths Profound Immortal Realm, it was sufficient to crush all profound immortal realm cultivators, and it was even to the extent that some ordinary feather immortals could be killed. Other than transforming into offensive divine arts, the fire-type divine might could also be used in other aspects, such as alchemy and artifact refinement. With the fire cloud emperor physique cultivated to this level, coupled with Su Fong's alchemy and artifact refinement abilities, he could completely use his hands to refine pills and melt materials. Original body. I just devoured the 1,000 Illusion Star Fire and had a new discovery. The second primordial spirit in the runic seal suddenly transmitted a voice. After the 5 runic seals fused into one, although the size didn't change much, the color became darker and revealed a shocking primordial spirit divine might. What discovery! After the second primordial spirit fused with Su Fong's original body, Su Fong revealed an enlightened gaze. Besides possessing the characteristics that ordinary strange flames possessed, the 1,000 Illusion Starfire had another characteristic that other strange flames didn't possess, and that was the ability to create illusions with a myriad of changes. Moreover, it could even affect one's primordial spirit without them noticing. It was precisely because of such a strange ability that Su Fong had unknowingly fallen for it. Cultivating the illusory Fire Cloud Emperor physique would allow one to cultivate the Fire Cloud Emperor physique. Since this cultivation technique had the word illusion, it naturally included the characteristics of the 1,000 Illusion Starfire and allowed one to utilize its ability. At this moment, Luo said, "Your idea is feasible, but you need to constantly cultivate and comprehend the illusory Fire Cloud Emperor physique and cultivate this cultivation technique to a certain level before you can freely control and utilize the ability of the 1,000 Illusions Fire Cloud. You can properly ponder over it in the future. It will be an extremely strange and powerful divine ability." Since Luo had said so, how could Su Fong not believe him? His gains from cultivating in the artifact cave this time were simply too great. After absorbing a large amount of great pregnant purple chi, the purple chi law spirit improved further. The 3 yin-yang treasures advanced to high-grade Dao tools. Their power increased greatly. The 23rd Yang Meridian was born. The 5 imprint runes merged into one. His second primordial spirit became extremely powerful. Advanced to the profound, immortal 6 Paths realm. Merged with the 1,000 Illusions Star Fire, the illusory Fire Cloud Emperor physique improved. With so many and such a great gain, how could Su Fong not be pleasantly surprised? The Purple Chi Law Spirit really brings me good luck again and again. If Ning Zishuan and Gu Huajun knew that the trap they set for me turned out to be my blessed land, what would they think? Su Fong was full of smiles. After peeling off a Yang Immortal and entering the Crucible Transformation Realm, the 3 yin-yang treasures and several big goblin that were closest to Su Fong immediately surrounded him. The 3 yin-yang treasures surrounded Su Fong and kept rubbing against his body, appearing to be very intelligent. Bai Ling flew into Su Fong's arms and burst into tears. Green Feather King kept scolding Su Fong for not being careful enough. Vermilion Emperor, Wooling Goblin, and other big goblin also had a lingering fear. This feeling of being cared for made Su Fong feel very warm, and it also gave him a warm feeling. Rumble, 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 the earth shook and the mountains shook, alarming Su Fong in the Crucible Transformation Realm. The Kars Cave shook violently, and hot magma gushed out of the cave, as if the whole volcano was shaking and shaking. Su Fong was taken aback. "What's going on?" Luo responded from the depths of his body. "You have subdued the 1,000 Illusion Starfire. The underground magma has lost control and is about to explode. In a moment, the experts of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate will come. Why are you still not leaving? Without the 1,000 Illusion Starfire, wouldn't the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gates crafting Tao field be destroyed? Su Fong was a little worried. There was originally a large amount of magma under the ground of these ruins, but the Thousand Illusionary Star fire used it as a shelter. Without the Thousand Illusionary Star fire, there will be some changes, but it won't destroy the weapon forging dojo completely. However, this ancient cauldron, on the one hand, is used as the eye of the array to suppress the Thousand Illusion Star fire, and, on the other hand, it uses the ability of the Thousand Illusion Star fire to refine artifacts through the array. Its power will definitely decrease a lot, and it will not be much different from an ordinary peak-grade cauldron. At this time, magma kept gushing out of the hole in the ground. Fortunately, it was not very turbulent. He hurriedly sealed the hole to block the magma. Su Fong originally planned to take the ancient cauldron for himself, but after thinking about it, he gave up this idea. Although this cauldron was far inferior to the Good Fortune Heaven Dipper cauldron, it was a treasure of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate. If it was really taken away, it would definitely cause a big storm. Moving the cauldron back to its original place, Su Fong first released the power of the Great Perfection to sense the outside. After confirming that there was no one outside, he used the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. His physical body collapsed and turned into a blood ribbon that rushed to the entrance of the artifact cave and then easily passed through the gap in the seal of the artifact cave. Buzz Su Fong, who had turned back into his physical state, suddenly sensed that someone was coming through the passage. Sensing with all his strength, he saw that one of the men was Ning Zishuan, and the other was a disciple from another secret realm. Seeing that he had reached the level of an ordinary elder from the Transcendence Immortal Realm, he was obviously a special disciple. Brother Ning, if you can really guarantee that Huangfu Shaoying will die in the artifact cave without seeing his body, I will not be able to answer to senior brother Gu Huojun. It has been almost half a year. How could that Huangfu Shaoying not die in the artifact cave? Now that the volcano in the artifact cave suddenly erupted, there must be high-level members of the faction coming to ask about it. I must clean up the artifact cave as soon as possible and not let the high-level members find any clues. How would the two know that their conversation was heard clearly by Su Fong with the power of the Great Perfection? Ning Zishuan, I was just about to settle the score with you. I didn't expect that you would come to me on your own initiative and want to clean up the traces. Did you really think that I, Su Fong, would die under your tricks? Since I am alive, then you must die. Su Fong's eyes were filled with killing intent. This Ning Zishuan deserved to die. He is not dead? How is that possible? Ning Zishuan and the special disciple turned the corner and saw Su Fong standing majestically at the entrance of the artifact cave. They were stunned as if they were struck by lightning. Ning Zishuan, are you surprised that I am still alive? Su Fong sneered and stared at the two like a hunter. Run. Ning Zishuan turned to run without thinking, but he was stopped by the special disciple. So what if he is lucky enough to not die? He is just a little profound immortal cultivator. How can he be a match for us? Kill him before the high-level members come. Yes, I was almost scared by him. Ning Zishuan turned and grinned. He released his fire-type divine power and turned it into a flame python that attacked Su Fong aggressively, as if he wanted to swallow Su Fong. The special disciple took out a flying sword that was filled with sword intent and released a shocking aura as it attacked Su Fong. This aura is even stronger than a refinement immortal. The special disciples of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate are indeed extraordinary, but the stronger they are, the more nourishment they have. Su Fong sneered. In the Crucible Transformation world, the great monk Shangde and the other experts were all eager to fight. After being idle for so long, these experts and the big goblin were almost rusty. Chapter 1183. Whoosh, Su Fong's eyes suddenly shot out a black xianguang. It pierced through the void and went straight for Ning Zishuan's face. Su Fong did not want to waste time with them and directly used his second primordial spirit. Child's play. Ning Zishuan was very disdainful. He formed a seal with his hands and used a skill to stop the second primordial spirit. Slap. But the result was completely out of Ning Zishuan's expectation. The black xianguang forcefully pierced through his seal and hit his forehead, going deep into his brain. How powerful was a second primordial spirit that had refined 5 seals? Even a peerless elite like the Great Elder could not fight against it, let alone Ning Zishuan, who was not even at the heavenly immortal realm. After the second primordial spirit went into Ning Zishuan's divine aperture, it instantly destroyed his young immortal realm cultivation. He could not fight back at all. Instantly, Ning Zishuan's body stopped moving. The power of his skill disappeared. In the blink of an eye, that special disciple controlled his flying sword and charged towards Su Fong. His aura was astonishing. Su Fong secretly controlled his purple clouds to gather his spiritual aura in his palm and reached out to grab the flying sword. Buzz, the flying sword that was very intelligent, trembled and let out a buzzing sound. It suddenly stopped when it was only 1 meter away from Su Fong and withdrew its power. No matter how that special disciple tried to control the flying sword, it could not display much power. In the end, it was sucked into Su Fong's palm. That special disciple was very surprised. How is this possible? This Huangfu, Shaoying, is able to control my magic treasure. Without giving him much time to think, Su Fong directly released the ghoul. Gui Gui, I will leave one of them to you. What kind of monster is this ghoul? As soon as the ghoul appeared, that special disciple's face turned pale. That was clearly a terrifying ghoul. He quickly used his skill to escape. Shout! Ning Zishuan suddenly moved and released a surge of sword chi. That special disciple was caught off guard, and his primordial spirit was severely injured. He immediately staggered and was caught up by the ghoul that came out like black lightning and bit off half of his head. Powerful Su Fong's current strength was so powerful that killing special disciples was as easy as slaughtering a chicken. Rumble Su Fong had just put away the ghoul when a loud bang rang out, and the entire weapon refining training hall shook violently. The commotion this time is huge. Then, he released the power of great perfection. Lava gushed out of the volcano where the armament training hall was located. The lava pillars were thousands of feet tall. When they collided with the barrier above the training hall, the space enveloped by the array shook. It was a shocking sight. Su Fong even saw a few figures with powerful auras approaching from the sky above the blacksmith dojo. The upper echelons of the clear skies myriad scroll gate are here. This is going to be troublesome. Su Fong didn't dare to be careless. Ning Zishuan, who was being controlled by the second primordial spirit, hurriedly took him back into his body. Thinking about it for a moment, Su Fong still felt that it was not safe. The commotion this time was too big. The Grand Elder of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Gate would definitely question Ning Zishuan carefully. In case he exposed a flaw, it would be very bad for him. He took out the Crucible Transformation tool and entered the Crucible Transformation space. Then he urged the Crucible Transformation tool to shrink into the size of a sesame seed and hid it inside Ning Zishuan's heavenly cave. So 3 figures appeared out of thin air. Ning Zishuan, what are you doing here? An old man raised his eyebrows. This person was Elder Blue of the Weapon Refining Training Hall. This disciple, not waiting for Su Fong to finish speaking, Elder Blue made a hand seal and opened the door to the artifact cave. With his strength, he naturally saw through the array formation that Ning Zishuan had created on the artifact cave's door to trap Su Fong. Moreover, the ancient treasure artifact that acted as the array core had been moved. The seal below had also been altered, and the aura of the 1,000 illusion starfire could no longer be sensed. Ning Zishuan, what have you done? Ning Zishuan was the #1 disciple of the Weapon Refining Training Hall. The upper echelons of the Weapon Refining Training Hall were usually very kind to him. At this time, Elder Blue's expression had changed. He let out a thunderous roar, and a divine aura shackled Ning Zishuan. This disciple only came here on a whim to take a look. I didn't do anything. Su Fong controlled Ning Zishuan's body. He spat out a mouthful of blood and knelt on the ground, looking extremely terrified. Ning Zishuan's master, Elder Lin, stood out at this time and defended Ning Zishuan. Elder Blue, Ning Zishuan's talent in refining is very outstanding. He usually behaves very well in the Weapon Refining Training Hall. How could he do such a shocking thing for no reason? The most important thing right now is to find the Thousand Illusion Star Fire and then slowly investigate the matter. Elder Blue withdrew his divine aura, but his expression was still very grave. The day of the marriage ceremony is just around the corner. Who can take responsibility for such a big thing happening in the weapon refining training hall? I'm afraid that the leader has already been alerted. Not only Ning Zishuan, but our entire weapon refining training hall cannot escape responsibility. Big trouble. Elder Lin glared fiercely at Ning Zishuan. Ning Zishuan was even more terrified, his body trembling nonstop. This disciple is innocent. Master, save me. No one can save you. A cold voice came from the void, and then a figure broke through the air. This was a tall and mighty old man. His aura was empty, but he gave people a feeling of vastness and unpredictability. His calm eyes were filled with killing intent, and he was imposing without being angry. Elder Gu. The elders of the weapon refining training hall all bowed, and even Elder Blue, a big shot of the weapon refining training hall, cupped his fists. Trouble. Su Fong, who was hiding in Ning Zishuan's heavenly grotto, raised his eyebrows. This Elder Gu was not an ordinary elder, nor was he an ordinary great elder. He was the great elder in charge of punishment in the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door. Although his cultivation realm was similar to the other great elders, his status was higher. He was the absolute upper echelon of the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls door, and had boundless power. If he finds out, the consequences will be unimaginable. Su Fong began to feel nervous. The commotion in the weapon refining training hall has already alarmed the leader. The leader specially sent me over to investigate. Elder Blue, what happened? Elder Gu asked in a majestic voice. Elder Blue explained the matter in a few words, not daring to cover up for Ning Zishuan. Of course, he also didn't deliberately push all the blame onto Ning Zishuan. He was only present at the time of the incident. Yes, Elder Gu's gaze was sharp, as if he could see through Ning Zishuan's body. Even Su Fong felt like there was nowhere to hide. Su Fong's second primordial spirit was incomparably powerful. Now that Ning Zishuan was the host, only peerless immortal emperors would be able to see a trace of abnormality. Although this Elder Gu's cultivation was shocking, no one could see anything. However, Su Fong still felt nervous for a while. Elder Gu's expression calmed down. Who knew? Before the others could breathe a sigh of relief, Elder Gu looked at Ning Zishuan, his eyes flashing. Had he been discovered? Su Fong had already prepared himself for the worst. At worst, he would just go all out. His second primordial spirit transmitted its voice to Su Fong's true body. It's fine. He won't be able to see through anything. Elder Gu formed a seal and grabbed at Ning Zishuan's body. A storage ring flew out and landed in Elder Gu's hand. He forcefully destroyed the seal within the storage ring and took out all the items inside. Seeing the medallion used to open the weapon refining cave, everyone's expressions changed. Ning Zishuan, you dare say today's matter has nothing to do with you, shouted Elder Gu, causing Ning Zishuan to stagger back and vomit blood. Ning Zishuan, how did you get the medallion to open the weapon refining cave? Elder Blue's expression also became extremely ugly. The medallion. It had come from Elder Blue. The person who had asked him for the medallion was also one of the higher-ups of the Clear Sky, 10,000 Scroll Gate. That person was also one of the higher-ups. He was Gu Huajun's master, a grand elder whose status was on the same level as Elder Gu's. If he continued to investigate, even Elder Blue would not be able to escape responsibility. How could he not be shocked? I'll take Ning Zishuan away for questioning. Elder Blue, what do you think? Elder Gu glanced at Ning Zishuan's dantian. Su Fong was flabbergasted. Did he really see through me? How could Elder Blue dare to disagree? But he was also worried that he would be implicated. Elder Gu brought Ning Zishuan through the air. They passed through the formation and left the refiner's training ground. They arrived in a desolate and cold region of high blue sky and directly entered a sinister hall. This hall was the Clear Sky 10,000 Scroll Gates Punishment Hall. Even special disciples would lose a layer of skin if they didn't die here. Elder Gu examined Ning Zishuan with a sharp gaze, causing Su Fong's hairs to stand on end. After a long time, Elder Gu said, "That Dao item in your body is a peak top gray Dao item, right?" I've been seen through. Ning Zishuan, who was being controlled by the second primordial spirit, showed a look of astonishment. Su Fong was also stunned. This Elder Gu's gaze was sharp. A peerless powerhouse on the level of a great elder was indeed powerful. Elder Gu's eyebrows curled up. A divine pressure shackled Ning Zishuan's body, as if it had gathered all the power in the surrounding space. Terrifying. His strength was truly terrifying. Ning Zishuan asked with a trembling voice, "Elder Gu, what do you mean by this? Hand over that top gray Dao item, and give his king a reasonable explanation about the matter regarding the refiner's training ground. This king can give you a way out." It turned out that he saw the crucible transformation realm. Not that Ning Zishuan was a puppet under his control, nor that Su Fong was inside the crucible transformation realm. If he handed over the crucible transformation realm, wouldn't he be exposed? Su Fong became anxious. "Senior, if we join forces, we can subdue him." A cold voice came from the second primordial spirit. Su Fong was startled. The second primordial spirit's murderous aura was really heavy, and its courage was also really big. Since the rune marks were refined by Night Demon, the second primordial spirit devoured the power of Night Demon's primordial spirit, causing the second primordial spirit to be filled with a murderous intent. Law suddenly spoke from the depths of his body. "Su Fong, you underestimate the second primordial spirit. After refining the 5 runes, the second primordial spirit is incomparably powerful. With your cooperation, it would not be difficult to kill or even control this Elder Gu. However, this is the core of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door. If you make a move here, it will definitely alarm the experts. It would be difficult to escape." Controlling a great elder. Su Fong's heart palpitated. Thinking of the environment here, Su Fong dispelled the idea. It would be better to escape first. "Then what should I do?" "That's your business." Law's irresponsibility made Su Fong smile helplessly. Buzz, releasing the power of great perfection, he sensed that the main hall was full of powerful array formations and barriers. Moreover, there were more than a dozen experts inside and outside the main hall. Each of them was no weaker than Immortal Changgu, Dragon's Pool, and Tiger's Denver. At the critical moment, Elder Gu suddenly took out a rune talisman, and a majestic voice came out from the rune talisman. "The leader summons you. Come." "Yes." Elder Gu formed a hand seal and shot out a Xian Guang seal, which silently drilled into Ning Zishuan's body. The second primordial spirit suddenly felt that it was difficult to move, as if it had lost control of its body. Elder Gu then ordered people to lock Ning Zishuan in a cell and watch over him strictly before leaving in a hurry. Chapter 1184. Su Fong used the power of great perfection to sense the seal that Elder Gu left on Ning Zishuan's body. Ning Zishuan's cultivation was only at the feather immortal realm. Elder Gu would never have thought that Ning Zishuan's body had already changed owners, so he just casually shackled the body. Su Fong's second primordial spirit was comparable to an immortal emperor, so it would be easy for him to escape. However, in that case, he would have to abandon this body. What a pity. I was planning to use this body to kill Gu Huajun, but now there's no hope. Su Fong felt a little regretful. Gu Huajun was sinister and despicable. She conspired with Ning Zishuan to kill Su Fong. No matter what, he couldn't leave her alive. However, Gu Huajun had a great background in the Clear Sky Thousand Scroll Gate. Although Su Fong could be called a genius, it would be very difficult for him to kill Gu Huajun. Su Fong was thinking of an escape plan. Abandoning Ning Zishuan's body and escaping from the prison and punishment hall was not difficult, but leaving the secret realm where punishment hall was located was a little difficult. Buzz, the power of great perfection, sensed that someone was approaching the prison. His aura was indistinct. If it wasn't for the power of great perfection being very strong and being so close, he wouldn't have been able to sense this person's aura. Then, he used all his power of great perfection. He saw that the person was covered in black clothes, revealing only a pair of eyes. His aura was indistinct. It was obvious that he was a powerful expert. This person is not Elder Gu, and he intentionally used magic to hide his aura. His whereabouts are very strange. Who is this person, and what is his purpose? Su Fong immediately became vigilant. Next, with the help of the power of the Great Perfection, Su Fong could clearly see that the black-clothed man very cautiously bypassed the barrier trap in the passage and silently sneaked to the side of the two guards. Suddenly, he formed a seal and released a highly toxic black smoke that enveloped the two guards. The two guards were very powerful, but they didn't have any time to resist the poisonous black smoke. They fell to the ground and died. Not even their bones were left behind. They didn't even have the chance to scream. The black-clothed person's strength was terrifying. Although his cultivation realm was not as high as Elder Gu's, he was still a peerless expert at the level of a great elder. Great monk between you and the black-robed man. Who's stronger? Su Fong secretly communicated with the expert in the Yellow Springs Great Emperor's bottle. Monk Shang said with a bitter face, "Master, you know that I'm only good at drinking and eating meat. Other than that, I'm good at deceiving people. I'm not good at fighting and killing." This shameless monk. The man in black came to the door of the prison and struck out a hand seal to break the array formation on the door. He then pushed the door open and entered. "You are Ning Zhe Xian?" The black-clothed man's eyes were cold and his voice was hoarse. "Who are you?" Ning Zexuan, who was controlled by Su Fong's second primordial spirit, asked. "You can't even kill a mere mysterious immortal, yet you fell into a trap and even implicated others. What a piece of trash. You were sent by Gu Huajun to save me." Ning Zexuan's second primordial spirit secretly controlled him to put on a pleasantly surprised expression, but he was actually on high alert. Rescue people most likely. They were here to silence him. This was going to be difficult. It shouldn't be hard to kill the black-clothed man if he used all his abilities. Wouldn't that give us away? Save you? You are really dreaming. What's the use of keeping a piece of trash like you? The black-clothed man's eyes suddenly turned cold. He suddenly released his aura and enveloped the entire prison. It was as if he was the ruler of this world, and Ning Zexuan was a piece of meat on his chopping board. Afterwards, the black-clothed man suddenly withdrew his aura and shook his head with a sneer. "You actually have Gu Chang's seal on you. Killing you is easy, but if the seal breaks and attracts Gu Changhe, it will be troublesome. I'll let you live for a while." Whoosh! The black-clothed man swept his palm and sucked Ning Zexuan's body, Su Fong, and second primordial spirit into his body. "I can use this opportunity to leave the punishment hall. After I leave this place, Ning Zexuan is indeed a piece of trash, but I, Su Fong, am not a weakling that can be slaughtered by anyone. This person's cultivation is not bad. I can use him as nourishment for cultivating the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. The big goblin hasn't had any nourishment for a long time." Su Fong did not resist and let the black-clothed man do as he pleased. Su Fong was thrown into a space of nothingness. It was very similar to the void outside, but there was no material existence. It was very desolate. Su Fong activated the power of the Great Perfection, but could not see any results. He could not help but feel surprised. Where is this place? Is it in the space of a doctrine artifact? No, there is no formation. Luo said slowly in his body. "This is the black-clothed man's heavenly cave." Heavenly cave. After entering the cave immortal realm, you can really cultivate the power of the world. The cave immortal realm will form a hole in the golden elixir. This is the heavenly cave. Why is this black-clothed man's heavenly cave different from mine? Is it because of his cultivation method? That's not it. This person's heavenly cave is like this because his cultivation has surpassed the cave immortal realm. The heavenly cave has become an empty space. Luo explained patiently. The cave immortal realm formed the heavenly cave. The function of the heavenly cave was to allow the golden elixir to directly absorb the power of the world. Above the cave immortal realm was the heavenly immortal realm. After entering the heavenly immortal realm, the immortals and the heavenly cave would merge to the extreme. It was like they were one with the world. It would be easier for them to absorb the spirit chi of heaven and earth and cultivate the power of the world. They would also be able to borrow power from the stars and extract essence from heaven and earth. As for the Xian immortal realm, it was extremely mysterious. When they started to truly cultivate the essence of heaven and earth and borrow power from the stars, the heavenly cave and golden elixir in their bodies would undergo many changes. The beyond Xian immortal realm was the heavenly immortal realm. The heavenly cave of the heavenly immortal realm in their bodies had reached a new level of merging with the galaxy. They would directly peel off the galaxy fragments and merge with the golden elixir to cultivate a real world. Immortals in the heavenly immortal realm existed like a feather. They would disappear between heaven and earth at any time. Above the heavenly immortal realm was a whole new world, the world immortal realm. The so-called world naturally referred to the heavenly cave in the body that formed a world of its own. Immortals in the world immortal realm could create a space that they could control in the void galaxy with their divine forms and domains. They could establish their own domain world. In the stars, they could control the void space within a range of 1,000 miles. However, according to Luo, the world immortal realm was not a real powerhouse. Of course, Luo's standards were very high. Only the realm lords and emperors in the immortal realm, like Tranquility Emperor and Immortal Emperor Tian Ong, could barely be considered as real powerhouses. Su Fong sighed with emotion. Ordinary elders are all in the heavenly immortal realm. Grand elders are in the world immortal realm. But I'm only in the Xian immortal realm now. I still have a long way to go. You've only cultivated for a few years. You've spent more than 1,000 years. You've walked a path that others might not even finish in 100,000 years. What else do you have to sigh with emotion? Moreover, your current strength is not that of an ordinary Xian immortal. If you count the second primordial spirit, it's even more amazing. You're still not satisfied with this? After being scolded by Luo, Su Fong could only smile embarrassedly. But his heart was filled with confidence. Through the power of the great perfection, Su Fong could see everything outside. After the black-robed man left the punishment hall, he flew across the sky to the protective boundary. He took out a token and threw a xianguang. A gap was opened in the boundary, and the black-robed man walked out calmly. As expected, the black-robed man was indeed a high-ranking member of the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door. He dared to barge into the punishment hall and kill people. He was really a bold and ruthless person. It seemed that no matter which faction it was, there was no lack of internal strife. He traveled through the array. After exiting the Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door's defensive array, he flew across the sky in the star sand and star fog. It seems that this person is planning to find a deserted place to kill people. I have to plan early. Su Fong secretly calculated. The second primordial spirit's voice sounded. Main body, what should we do? This person's strength is amazing. It will take some effort to kill him. How about this? I'll transform into the yellow spring blood sea and leave Ning Zishuan's body. I'll stay in the black-robed man's heavenly cave space. You follow the body out and take the opportunity to attack his divine aperture space. Hee, I can easily subdue this person. I'm lacking such an expert. That's good. After a long time, the black-robed man arrived at a bare material continent. Buzz, suddenly, the heavenly secret life shrinking technique sensed two familiar auras. Who is it? He activated the power of the great perfection again and saw two figures standing on the material continent. Huang Fufei, Gu Huajun. Su Fong was a little stunned. Why were the two of them together? The black-robed man flew across the sky and arrived in front of Gu Huajun. He bowed and said, "Young master." He was indeed an expert under Gu Huajun. Gu Huajun said in a deep voice, "It's done. Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. However, that person's body was sealed by Gu Changhe. I was worried that if I touched the seal, Gu Changhe would be alerted. Therefore, I brought him out of the sect. It's good that you brought him out. Find a secluded place and deal with him. Do it cleanly and don't leave any traces." Gu Huajun and Ning Zishuan were brothers. In order to not implicate him, Gu Huajun was very ruthless. The black-robed man flew towards the back of the continent. Ning Zishuan is really a piece of trash. Brother Gu tried his best to get the token and lure the Huangfu Shaoying into the artifact cave. He actually let him come out alive. How did such a person become the #1 disciple of the blacksmith Dao Hall? This person's talent in blacksmithing isn't bad. Unfortunately, his mentality is too weak. He's not worth mentioning. Fortunately, I didn't kill Huangfu Shaoying. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get the ethereal quintessence. As long as Miss Huangfu helps me fulfill my wish, I'll definitely hand over the living Huangfu Shaoying to you before the wedding ceremony. Gu Huajun deserved to die. Huangfu Fei deserved to die. The conversation between the two was clearly heard by Su Fong, who was hiding in the heavenly cave inside the black-robed man's body. He was immediately filled with killing intent. Brother Gu, don't worry. Xuanqing trusts me a lot. She already agreed to meet me in a voice transmission. However, I won't make a move against her for the sake of our old friendship. That's natural. I still have some methods to deal with women. Xuanqing, that bitch, actually chose to marry a profound immortal trash and let me down. She can't blame me for being ruthless. Xuanqing will be here soon. Brother Gu, you can slowly enjoy the #1 beauty of the clear sky's myriad scroll gate. Then, Huangfu Fei leaped into the air. Gu Huajun took out a gray Taoist robe and put it on her body. Not only did her aura become illusory, but her body also integrated with the surrounding environment. The Taoist robe turned out to be a middle-grade Taoist tool. Although its grade was not high, it had the strange ability to hide one's aura and figure. It was very extraordinary. Gu Huajun actually didn't give up on Xuanqing Fairy. Fortunately, I found out. Otherwise, Su Fong felt a burst of fear. He couldn't wait to tear Gu Huajun into pieces immediately. It turned out that Su Fong and Xuanqing Fairy were married. Although he didn't have any improper thoughts, he subconsciously regarded Xuanqing as his woman. At this time, Gu Huajun actually had ideas about Su Fong's woman. She deserved to die. In the heavenly cave inside the black-robed man's body, inside Ning Zishuan's body, Su Fong flew out of the crucible transformation world. After putting away the crucible transformation world, his body was broken into pieces, turning into a long blood ribbon that snaked out from the seal of his body. He came to the black-robed man's heavenly cave and turned into a mass of blood, waiting for the opportunity to attack the black-robed man. Chapter 1185. Star sand filled the air as the cold wind howled. Behind a material continent, in a grotesque mess of rocks, the black-clothed man swept Ning Zishuan's body out of his heavenly cave. The young master wants to take your life. You can only blame yourself for being too stupid. Not only did you fail to complete the young master's plan, but you also implicated the young master, the black-clothed man said coldly. Ning Zishuan suddenly laughed. You can kill me. Stunned. Disdain. Even if he was not sealed with the powerful strength of the immortal realm of the black-clothed human realm, killing Ning Zishuan would be like pinching an ant to death. But he actually said such stupid words before his death. How could there be such a trash in the equipment refining dojo? This was what the black-clothed man thought. You can't kill me. This time, Ning Zishuan's voice was filled with certainty, and it was also filled with coldness. Die! The black-clothed man raised his palm and released an aura. It was as if all the power of the surrounding heaven, earth, and stars were under his control. With a flip of his hand, there was a shocking divine might. At this moment, the black-clothed man's body suddenly trembled. The killing intent in his eyes disappeared and was replaced by incomparable pain. Boom! Heavenly cave. Su Fong turned into rolling blood and surged violently. Sizzle. The heavenly cave trembled and shrank. It was actually corroded and swallowed by the blood bit by bit. The yellow spring blood sea's swallowing ability was terrifying. It could even swallow the heavenly cave of the world immortal realm. What the hell is this? Demonic artifact or demonic head? The black-clothed man separated a young immortal and entered the heavenly cave. He was shocked when he saw the rolling blood. This person was indeed a powerhouse of the realm of world immortals. After a short moment of shock, he immediately activated the special magic of the realm of world immortals. The heavenly cave trembled and controlled the surrounding void space, forming a terrifying aura that pressed down on the Acheron Blood Sea. Unworld immortal realm expert strength was shocking. Mystic immortals cultivated the essence of heaven and earth and the power of the stars. The world immortal realm was 2 realms higher than the mystic immortal realm. They could create a space in the void space that they could control. They were the masters of this space and could control the divine might of the stars in the void space. It was far from what the mystic immortal realm could compare to. The heavenly cave space was the bridge through which immortals of the world immortal realm communicated and controlled the void space. When it trembled, it could draw in the might of the heavens and the earth. It was a domain that immortals of the world immortal realm had absolute control over. A pity the Yellow Spring Blood Sea was created by the Yellow Spring Great Emperor himself. When cultivated to the highest level, the Yellow Spring Blood Sea could devour a huge force. Although the Sufang was far from reaching this level, it was not easy to break through. Gradually, the blood water was compressed, and its surface area gradually became smaller. It became thicker and even more viscous, but did not disperse. Instead, its corrosive and devouring abilities became stronger. The heavenly grotto space was corroded and devoured, creating many small holes, luring the wolf into the house. The heavenly cave was like a command center that controlled the divine might of heaven and earth. Now that it was invaded by a hungry wolf, the result could be imagined. To make matters worse, once the heaven's cave space was damaged, it meant that one's cultivation level would drop and their strength would be severely damaged. Sufang also felt the pressure. The Yellow Spring Blood Sea seemed like it would collapse at any moment. After all, he didn't really have the Yellow Spring True Body yet. He only had a certain amount of the Yellow Spring True Body's ability. One by one, the pills fell into the pool of blood like they were free beans. The blood water devoured the heavenly grotto's space and was also transformed and absorbed. Sufang was pleasantly surprised. Under the shackles of the divine might of heaven and earth in the heavenly grotto, cultivating the Yellow Spring Blood Sea was actually several times more effective than usual. Indeed, the greater the pressure, the greater the potential one could unleash. I will destroy you. The insignificant ant that he didn't even put in his eyes actually had such a terrifying method. The black-clothed man was shocked and furious. The heavenly grotto's space trembled violently. It was about to draw in all the power within 1,000 miles and crush the strange thing that entered the heavenly grotto's space into powder. Outside, a black Xian Guang suddenly shot out from Ning Zishuan's forehead and struck the black-clothed man's forehead. Although it didn't have any divine ability or aura, it still invaded the black-clothed man's divine aperture space. The black-clothed man's mind was completely focused on the heavenly grotto's space. He didn't expect that the sealed Ning Zishuan would suddenly launch a fatal attack, and his second primordial spirit would forcefully break through the divine aperture's defenses. Inside the divine aperture space, an ocean of magic power surged violently. Compared to Sufang's ocean of magic power, it was more than 10 times more majestic. Above the surging ocean of magic power, hundreds of black-clothed men floated. These were his young immortals. The divine aperture's world of a world immortal expert is indeed terrifying. However, the black Xian Guang condensed into Sufang's appearance. The corner of his mouth rose, and a dense killing intent spread out. Who are you? How can you have such a powerful primordial spirit? How can you be in Ning Zishuan's body? My heavenly grotto space is also yours. What's going on? The black-clothed man turned pale with fright, and his primordial spirit trembled. Am I not the Huangfu Shaoying that your master, Gu Huajun, racked her brains to kill? As for your heavenly grotto space, that's my main body. Sufang's second primordial spirit smiled eerily. A terrifying aura surged out, causing the ocean of magic power to roar. The black-clothed man's primordial spirit once again trembled incessantly. My main body humph. A mere Xian immortal dares to be so impudent in the divine aperture's world of a world immortal expert. No matter how powerful your methods are, in my eyes, you are still an ant. Today, I will let you know what the world immortal realm is. The black-clothed man's primordial spirit's aura surged. The young immortal flew above his aura, turning into a terrifying primordial spirit wave. It carried a supreme divine will and crushed towards the second primordial spirit. It was as if even a star in front of it would be crushed like a sesame seed. How arrogant! At this moment, the black-clothed man's primordial spirit's aura trembled and became much weaker. It turned out that Su Fong was using all his strength to urge the yellow spring blood sea to crazily devour the black-clothed man's heavenly grotto space. That young immortal's primordial spirit was shattered, so much so that his primordial spirit was also affected. Even if the black-clothed man was a world immortal expert, he would not be able to withstand two simultaneous battles in the divine aperture and heavenly grotto space. Open! The second primordial spirit let out a thunderous roar. He put his palms together and then suddenly separated them. An aura that could tear apart space spread towards the black-clothed man at an unbelievable speed. Hiss! The black-clothed man's primordial spirit's aura was torn apart like a piece of paper and then shattered. As for his young immortal, it was grabbed by the second primordial spirit. The black-clothed man's young immortal begged in despair, "Spare me." The second primordial spirit was about to kill this young immortal when a young immortal came to the black-clothed man's divine aperture's world. It would be a pity to kill this person. Let him live for now. It turned out that Su Fong had taken away a young immortal. The second primordial spirit stopped what he was doing, but his eyes were still cold. The black-clothed man did not dare to relax at all. He was trembling with fear. "Are you willing to submit to me and be my subordinate?" Su Fong asked coldly. The black-clothed man's young immortal showed hesitation. He was a world immortal expert, but he was willing to submit to a Xian immortal. The second primordial spirit's hand suddenly pulled back. The black-clothed man was so scared that he quickly nodded and expressed his loyalty. "I am willing to submit." Su Fong knew what this person was thinking and was too lazy to talk to him. Clothes? Mei Huan. Bong Yong. Sha. Fate? Nai Shi Xian? What? Earth? The South Foolish Imperial Coin Port Lettuce? Sigh. Chlorine suction selection in quiet panic. Su Fong's true body came out from the black-robed man's heaven's cave and asked, "What is your name and identity?" The man in black answered honestly, "I am Gu Yong, and my name is Dai Yong. I was originally a rogue cultivator, but because I offended a powerful force, I joined Gu Huajun's father and became a servant of the Gu family. If you follow me, as long as you are loyal, there will be many benefits for you in the future. It is much better than being a slave in the Gu family who is ordered around. You should change back to your original name. I don't like people with the surname Gu." Su Fong put the black-robed man into the crucible transformation space. "Monk Shangde, it's you." As soon as he entered the crucible transformation space, the black-robed man, Dai Yong, immediately exclaimed. It turned out that Monk Shangde was quite famous in Immortal AO. Of course, it was not a good reputation. However, Monk Shangde's strength was almost the same as Dai Yong's. Seeing him obediently become Su Fong's slave, Dai Yong no longer had any other thoughts in his mind. After Su Fong gave him a high-grade Yin Yang Immortal Sky pill to heal his injuries, Dai Yong completely submitted to him. It's time to deal with Gu Huajun. Su Fong looked at the other side of the material world with cold eyes. At this moment, lightning filled the air. Rumble. From the other side of the material world, there was a violent sound of thunder. A thunder technique with an ancient aura soared into the sky with the momentum of thousands of soldiers and horses. Even Su Fong, who was dozens of miles away, could feel this terrifying momentum. His perfect vision was affected. Gu Huajun has already made a move on Fairy Xuanxin. Su Fong was shocked. Su Fang had seen Gu Huajun release a terrifying thunder technique with thunder runes before. He did not expect that Gu Huajun would turn hatred from love to the point of losing her mind to use such a powerful and ruthless method on Fairy Xuanxin. A feather fan immediately appeared under his feet. Su Fang, who was standing on the feather fan, used the feather fan's defensive power to pass through the star fog and quickly flew to the other side of the material world. Buzz! Su Fang, who was quickly flying, suddenly felt a familiar aura in front of him. Countless mystical runes circled around in his divine aperture world. The runes in his mind suddenly turned into a woman. It was indeed Fairy Xuanxin. Su Fang used all his strength to activate the feather fan and increase his speed. Under the perception of his perfect realm power, Su Fang saw the scene that made him angry and ashamed. He spat out a mouthful of saliva. Beast! That part of the material world was collapsing. Clearly, it was caused by the thunder technique unleashed by the thunder runes just now. On the broken cliff of the material world, Fairy Xuanxin was lying on the ground. She looked like she was heavily injured. Her Taoist robe was tattered and could barely cover her body. Her body was covered in blood, but her beautiful and flawless body revealed a kind of sad beauty. Gu Huajun had a hideous smile. Her eyes were red and looked very ferocious. She was even more terrifying than a demon. This is the senior brother that I have always treated as an older brother. Fairy Xuanxin smiled bitterly. Suddenly, her true qi fluctuated. She was about to explode her golden core. Chi Gu Huajun was as fast as lightning. She used two finger techniques and suddenly pointed at Fairy Xuanxin's forehead and dantian, sealing her divine aperture and golden core. When you chose Yin Sun Shin, I was ashamed, so I could only endure. You should not have agreed to dual cultivate with a piece of trash like Huangfu Shaoying. Why? Why did you force me? Gu Huajun was like a crazy beast as she stared at Fairy Xuanxin. You must be regretting it. Regretting that you didn't expose me to the sect last time. Even more regretting that you listened to Huangfu Fei and came here, falling into my hands. Haha, stupid woman. You were deceived by Yin Sun Shin once. Why are you still so stupid? Let me tell you, Huangfu Fei lured you here under Yin Sun Shin's instructions. The person you once loved deeply sold you again for the true ethereal enlightenment. Gu Huajun laughed crazily like a wild beast. Fairy Xuanxin suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Her beautiful and flawless face was covered with ashes. Chapter 1186. Fairy Xuanxin's face was ashen, but not a single drop of tear flowed out. Her heart was already dead, so how could there be tears? Her current appearance gave Gu Huajun a strong sense of pleasure, as well as a desire to possess her. Chi. He released wisps of sword chi from his fingers. Fairy Xuanxin's tattered Taoist robe was torn into shreds. Xuanxin was sealed and had no strength to struggle. She simply looked at Gu Huajun, her gaze cold and piercing. The corners of her mouth curled up into a mocking smile. Gu Huajun was angered by Fairy Xuanxin's gaze. You're mocking me. I'm mocking myself for calling myself the #1 fairy of the clear skies, Thousand Scrolls Gate. First, I misjudged Yin Sun Shin and betrayed my true feelings. Then, I misjudged you and treated you as my older brother. Even though you did something beastly last time, it was still the same. Now, I finally understand that beasts will always be beasts. This is their nature, so how can they change? Fairy Xuanxin's voice did not sound desperate, but indifferent. Yes, I am a beast. The celestial world is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Everyone is a beast. If you're not cruel enough, you can only be devoured by others. If I had understood this earlier, you would have been lying in my arms long ago. How could that despicable person Yin Sun Shin have a chance? The twin swords of annihilation would have been in my hands long ago. I would definitely be 10 times more dazzling than Yin Sun Shin now. Gu Huajun laughed loudly, as if he had gone mad. You're crazy. You're no longer the senior brother Gu I used to know. Fairy Xuanxin closed her eyes, unwilling to look at that ugly and ferocious face. Am I crazy? No, you're too stupid. I want to get everything that I didn't get before. The pain that you and Yin Sun Shin gave me, I want to return it to you 10 times, 100 times. Not only am I going to take your body, but I'm also going to make you my plaything so that I can play with you every day. You belong to me, Gu Huajun, now and forever. Yin Sun Shin wants to use me. How could I not know that? Once I get the complete ethereal quintessence from Huang Fu Shaoying, it won't be long before I surpass Yin Sun Shin and become the center of attention in the immortal world. At that time, I will step on his head and reach the peak of the immortal domain. Gu Huajun finished speaking in one breath. She seemed to have vented a lot, and her mood became more stable. Leaning over to Xuanxin Fairy, Gu Huajun said slowly, I'll give you one last chance. Send a message to Huang Fu Shaoying. Tell him to come here immediately and use his life to exchange for yours. Also, I can guarantee that I won't lay a finger on you. Do you think I'll believe the promise of a beast that has lost all reason? Fairy Xuanxin opened her eyes and sneered. Very good. Xuanxin, take your time to enjoy your first time as a woman. Gu Huajun laughed savagely. With a boom, her aura burst out and tore her Taoist robe into pieces. She pounced towards Fairy Xuanxin like a beast pouncing on a trembling lamb. Regret, despair. Fairy Xuanxin felt her world turn dark. But just as her heart fell into a bottomless abyss, a lonely and ethereal male figure flashed past. Many times when she was in a desperate situation, that figure would always appear in time. But this time, so this is the genius disciple of the clear sky, Thousand Scrolls Gate. A cold sneer sounded. Then, a sword light surrounded by poisonous gas shot towards Gu Huajun. This scene was very similar to the last time. Gu Huajun's expression stiffened. Then, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, she quickly retreated. Chi dense poison runes covered the sky and covered Gu Huajun, bursting out billowing poisonous fog. A figure appeared in front of Fairy Xuanxin. He was wearing a ghost-face Rakshasa mask and was wearing a long white robe. It was a very strange man. However, in Fairy Xuanxin's eyes, this person was like a god. The bloody and evil mask on his face was very familiar to Fairy Xuanxin. You're here. Fairy Xuanxin forced a smile, as if she had seen a friend she hadn't seen for many years. She relaxed and immediately fainted. First, she was attacked by Gu Huajun's lightning runes and was seriously injured. Then, she was betrayed again and faced with the desperate situation of being humiliated. Even a person made of iron would find it hard to bear. However, the unconscious Fairy Xuanxin no longer had a trace of despair on her peerless face. Instead, she looked extremely relaxed. Ghostface Rakshasa, damn it, it's you again. How is it possible? First, it was surprise. Then, she was shocked and angry. After thinking about it, Gu Huajun trembled with excitement. Ghostface Rakshasa, you have obtained the inheritance of the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor. How dare you appear here and ruin my plans again? An evil cultivator is not worthy of the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor's treasures. If I catch you and get the inheritance of the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor, Yin Senshin's dual swords of annihilation will be nothing. Activating a green light pearl, he directly tore through the air and arrived one zhang away from Su Fong. Then, controlling the flying sword, he shot out a blood-red sword chi towards Su Fong. Clang! Su Fong's arms suddenly shook. When the big bow was drawn, it was a palm in the air. Two gigantic golden palms, 100 feet in size, slammed toward the oncoming Gu Huajun. What kind of divine power is this? Compared to the golden palm prince, Gu Huajun was like a tiny fly. Her aura was shattered, and she was directly sent flying. Countless bones in her body were broken, and she spat out blood. It turned out that Su Fong was angry at Gu Huajun's shameless behavior. He directly activated the 9 Yang 9 transformations and used the Herculean divine palm. Su Fong's divine power not only injured Gu Huajun, but also destroyed her confidence. It was really too strong. However, thinking about the inheritance of the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor, Gu Huajun's heart was filled with excitement. She secretly sent a primordial spirit transmission to the black-robed man. Guyan, where are you? Why did you take so long? Come. and capture the ghost-face Rakshasa. Gu Yong was a peerless expert of the world and mortal realm. No matter how powerful the ghost-face Rakshasa was, he could not be stronger than the world and mortal realm great elder. Soon, there was a reply. Young master, don't worry. This old servant will rush over. Seeing that Fairy Xuanqin's situation was not good, Su Fang quickly went forward and used the Xianguang. His palms spewed out a shocking amount of yang qi and sent it into Fairy Xian's body. However, Fairy Xuanqin had not woken up yet. That was because her injuries were too severe. Furthermore, she was mentally and physically exhausted. This was not something that yang qi could save. After that, Su Fang gave her a recovery elixir and used his true qi to melt it. Finally, he kept her in the space of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Seeing this, Gu Huajun urged Dai Yong to hurry over. She gritted her teeth and activated the green light pearl again. She activated her flying sword and attacked Su Fang. This sword contained more than 10 sword intents that were fused from many cultivation techniques. It was really extraordinary. Chi, a golden steel ring blocked Gu Huajun and shattered the aura of Gu Huajun's flying sword. Gu Huajun, let me play with you. Monk Shangda's vigorous figure flashed out and smiled at Gu Huajun. Prajna Demon's subduing finger. After the monk formed a seal, he released a large number of finger techniques that instantly pounced towards Gu Huajun. Boom, boom, boom. The golden finger techniques hit Gu Huajun and caused a shocking explosion. Gu Huajun was battered and exhausted. Her whole body was in a terrible state. She no longer had the appearance of a genius. Su Fang suddenly spoke up. Great monk, don't let her die too easily. A genius disciple of a major force. This king likes it. The monk grinned like a man-eating monster. It was truly terrifying. What made Gu Huajun's scalp tingle was that the monk's gaze was intentionally or unintentionally sweeping over her lower body. Who told him to shatter her robe? Quickly taking out a set of clothes from her storage ring, Gu Huajun felt ashamed and resentful. She had never experienced such a great humiliation in her life. However, facing the monk Shangda, Gu Huajun could only escape. She borrowed the power of the green light pearl to escape from the monk's pursuit. Just as she was about to take out her trump card, the Thunder Rune Talisman, she didn't expect that, dealing with a bad guy like you who only knows how to bully women, how can I not be involved? A white shadow shot out from the star fog like a lightning bolt. It spewed out a dark flame, which was as fierce as a burning storm. It turned out that Bai Ling, who was in the crucible transformation realm, could not hold himself back and asked Su Fang to let her out. You are the crane monster by Huang Fu, Shaoying sighed. Gu Huajun suddenly recognized Bai Ling and exclaimed, So what if you recognize me? Watch how I kill you today. Bai Ling was very arrogant. Gu Huajun's nightmare had just begun. The great monk and Bai Ling took turns to attack, like a storm. Gu Huajun had no choice but to repeatedly urge the green light pearl to escape. She did not even have time to take out the rune talisman, let alone fight back. If it were not for the great monk and Bai Ling not wanting her to die too easily, they would have killed her more than a dozen times. Gu Yong, if you don't show up, this young master will skin you alive. Gu Huajun roared. Young master, I am here. Whoosh, a black-robed man stepped through the air. You failed to protect your master. Wait until we return and see how this young master will deal with you. Gu Huajun glared at the black-robed man. Then, pointing at the great monk Shangda and Bai Ling, Gu Huajun gnashed her teeth and said, Except for the ghost-faced Rakshasa, kill the rest. Before she finished speaking puff, the black-robed man suddenly attacked and slapped Gu Huajun's dantian. An overbearing momentum destroyed her golden core. Gu Yong, you dare to kill your master? Gu Huajun looked at the black-robed man in disbelief. Sorry, young Master Gu, I have now changed my master and reverted to my original name, Dai Yong. The black-robed man responded coldly. Gu Huajun finally understood what Fairy Xuanqin felt just now. Anger, hatred, and despair. Su Fang came over, sealed Gu Huajun's divine aperture, and then put her into the crucible transformation space. He stepped on a feather fan and flew towards the clear sky myriad scroll door. On one side of the crucible transformation space, whoosh, Su Fong peeled off a young immortal and appeared in front of Gu Huajun. Huang Fu Xiaoying. Gu Huajun trembled as if she was suddenly doused with cold air. Then she suddenly realized, You actually colluded with the ghost-face Rakshasa. Young Master Gu is really stupid. Can't you see that I am the ghost-face Rakshasa, and the ghost-face Rakshasa is me? Gu Huajun felt as if she was struck by lightning. She was so shocked that her eyeballs almost rolled out. In young Master Gu's eyes, Huang Fu Xiaoying is just a mystic, immortal realm cultivator that you can kill at will. You never thought that the ant in your eyes would stand in front of you with such an identity. You know who I am? My master is the great elder of the clear sky myriad scroll door. My family is also famous in the immortal AO great world. You dare to kill me? Young Master Gu is really an idiot. You said a few threatening words, and I really don't dare kill you? The experts who died in the hands of the ghost-face Rakshasa, including the so-called geniuses with great family backgrounds like you, are not few. Su Fong's murderous intent made Gu Huajun finally soften and beg for mercy. Let me go. I am willing to be your slave like Gu Yong. My talent in the clear sky myriad scroll door is very outstanding. I will definitely be a great help to you in the future. I don't need experts under me. Unfortunately, your whole body, including your heart, is too dirty. I don't want such a slave. Su Fong said coldly, and then released the ghoul. Ghost face. Gu Huajun was scared out of her wits. Young Master Gu, don't you want to enjoy fairy Xuanxin? Now, have a taste of being enjoyed. The ghoul's body suddenly collapsed, turning into rolling black blood, submerging Gu Huajun's body, corroding and swallowing.